Weekend time is racing time. Welcome back to Lamborghini The Real Race. It is still the group stages coming up with 4 races in total today. My name is still Renee. I'm bringing you all the action live from today's EMEA group. But since we have 2 tracks in our hands, 4 races in total, I'm obviously not doing that on my own. So please welcome also Lee Demon Smith once again joining me in the commentary booth for all the racing that we will have on. Actually, Lee, it's Misano and Hungaroring today.
Yes, and starting off on Hungaroring as well. So I'm very interested to see if any of those that can cast their mind back. We had very wet races before, actually throughout all 3 regions. Very interested to see if it's going to stay that way. Currently in practice, it has been wet, so maybe the guys are getting prepared for it.
Yeah, but better get a practice in. We saw that last time around how important it is that you have a strategy for wet races and also know your lines for that because it's quite different in terms of driving. Talking about quite different, might be for some people quite different to understand the format. So let's run through that once again just to be sure that all of us are on the same page when it comes to Lamborghini The Real Race in 2022.
Yeah, so very different from last season, obviously. Last season, it was all about just sort of going through, and then the one guy wins it at the end. We changed the format around a lot this year to make it a lot more entertaining. We have the 4 group stage races. We've already had 2, already gone for all 3 regions. We're going to have 2 more today. I say 2, it's 2 tracks. 4 races, a 15-minute sprint race and a 45-minute main race on both the Hungaroring and, of course, Misano today for the EMEA region. Next week will be APAC, following that will be NALA region, so lots of Lamborghini racing action for you guys. Now, who goes through? That's the question. Well, from the group stage, it will be the top 15 points leaders, which is quite relatively, I would say, easy. It's a pretty packed field, but you know, for the top guys, it should be doable for them. And then, of course, we're going to have a last chance qualifier in a few weeks' time, where only the winner of that will go through to join the other 15 races. And then, of course, we'll have the 16 races facing off for each region on the finals. That's in October 16th, if I remember rightly.
If you're around the top 10 today, then obviously it's all about consistency. Just making sure that you score a few points. Don't risk it all. Because if you drop out of the top 15, as you just said, the last chance qualifier will be hard to get through there. Because you have to bring the wins in there and got top scoring points to even make it into the final end. So rather today, maybe look in there if you really want to pick that fight, if it's worth it for you. So we might see some different strategies out there on the track today for people to get into the final. Why they're all doing this? Because there's actually a €15,000 prize pool across 3 regions that we have. You already mentioned them, NALA, APAC, and EMEA. 5K per region. They get them as Amazon vouchers. So there is something on the line besides the big thing at the end of the grand finale. And when we're actually done here, because the winner of Lamborghini The Real Race has the chance to join the Lamborghini eSports team, become an official sim driver for the iconic brand, and kickstart another level of their sim racing career. So that's really, really interesting. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of drivers that want that and feel like I got what it takes to go there. So let's figure out if we might see our favorites today in the race. Lee already said we're starting off with Hungaroring, and I have to say, can't be the only one that kind of skips Misano and Hungaroring a lot, because it's not the usual tracks that you see on public servers, is it?
Yeah, they're technical tracks, I think is probably the best way to put it, especially in terms of obviously driving the Lamborghini around these tracks. Car placement can be crucial for all the understeer that you're going to get, so it can be very interesting, and especially if it's going to be a wet race, that is going to add a whole new measure in it. Those that watched maybe last year's finals may remember myself driving around Misano along with Marcelo. It wasn't a great lap. I'm not going to put it out there. It was not a great lap. But yeah, we were kind of thrown in it. Sit in this sim rig, which I could barely fit in. I'm a big guy, trying to squeeze into one of those little chairs. I could have brought the double XL chair for me.
Well, I'm absolutely sure that you improved, Lee. But let's kick it off then with a quick flyover and some information about the upcoming track.
my name is Jordan Sherrod. I'm a driver for the official Lamborghini eSports team, and I'll be taking you for a lap guide around Hungaroring. This is one of the most difficult tracks in the game, as well as the hardest to overtake, so qualifying is key. Onto the lap. As you approach turn 1, you brake just before the 100-meter board, getting a sort of latish apex so you can get a straight exit onto the straight. It's very key in the ST. And as you approach turn 2, braking just before the curve on the right, hugging the apex a little bit and on the gas early, getting the car left or the right so you can get it flat. It's very hard in the ST. It's a naturally understeering car, so you've got to try and be very keen where you position your car on the track. Clipping the inside there, braking into the corner over here, getting on the gas early, so you sort of understeer wide. Now we approach probably the hardest corner on this track. What you want to do is get your car right over the curb so you can straight line it. And again, clipping the inside over here. Very key to wait for the car over here, because the car naturally wants to understeer. So you've got to be very smooth and patient with your inputs. Trying to get to the apex there, and using all the track as much as possible. Braking just as the curve starts, clipping the inside there, using all the track on the exit. Then braking into this corner, sort of like a V line, and using all the track on the exit, getting the car left, so you brake straight into the corner. Then waiting for the car to rotate and back on the gas. And that's a lap guide with myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
If Jordan Sherrod, a winner of last year's Lamborghini The Real Race, now Lamborghini Sim Driver, says that this is a hard track and a hard track to overtake, then we're in for a party, I would say, because I had, I think, 3 races on this track and absolutely love them, because what you might not see there is the big elevation change going down the hill, which really allows you to be light on the brakes, but it also means that you can easily overshoot the next corners and then leave that chicane over the curbs. That will be crucial today.
Yeah, and also, I guess we've got to be a bit wary of track limits as well. If you remember, that's caught a few people out in the past. And I hate to say it, but something that's caught all the drivers out across all regions is speeding in the pits. Won't be a problem for the sprint race, but when the main race comes around, they have to make those pit stops. That's where real big, the stop-go 30 start to come through, and it punishes. And some of the drivers, especially, I'm thinking of some of the top guys that maybe got caught out by it, have got to be wary of that. There was a couple that maybe just got completely screwed by it. It's safe to say. There was second place, if I remember, I think Darren Price was in there maybe, that got done at, what was the track last time? You see, I've thrown myself under the bus, and I can't remember what track it was he actually did it. It was Kyle Army, because I remember the cheetah. And then he came in, we basically was overtaken just before he went into the pits, and we were like, he's never going to be able to slow it down enough. Sure as hell, got stop-go penalty from second to basically about 15th. It's ruined his race.
Yeah, you really have to be aware of that, but it is a track that will bring us good close racing, I think, because it's interesting. The entire third sector is kind of always half throttle. You're not launching a lot, you're also not braking super hard. It's kind of flowy going through the turns left, right, always as a consecutive turn. So that will be very interesting for today's races. Talking about today's races, the usual format of a 15-minute sprint race and then a 45-minute main race, where in the main race the top 8 of the sprint race are reversed. So we're starting in the order of the finishing of the previous race, but we reverse the top 8. So whoever won gets 8th starting position. Whoever came 8th actually starts on pole. Talking about people that might be on pole, or at least be on the grid, let's have a quick look at the roster of drivers joining us today. Nicholas Hoopen, obviously currently the leader in terms of standing, 60 points for him after the first group stage phase. And Luke Whitehead, that's actually the British driver on the left side, who's currently in second, 51 points there.
Yeah, Darren King was the man I was talking about. Well, not Darren Price, and where I pulled Price from, but Darren King was the man that got caught out. Honestly, he could have had second and first in the main races. Got absolutely ruined in Spa by the big puddle at, just before the Kemmel. That completely launched him and DNF'd his car. So is a driver that could deliver if he's here today. I don't see him in the practice servers at the moment, so that could catch him out. A lot of returning names as well, obviously from the previous season in there. I would say probably about 12 to 13, 14 drivers are all in there. Also, Denis Sakharov obviously came across, but I don't think he's racing today either, unfortunately. But Nicholas Huben, you mentioned, he was the man that Jordan pointed out as like, this is the guy that's going to do it. Obviously, he's been competing, or did compete, I would say, because it's finished now, the SRO. He did very well in that as well. A couple of drivers actually from the SRO that are also competing in here. As I watch Grigis literally power sliding it around the corner. That's how wet it is at the moment in practice.
Yeah, it is definitely wet out there. A shout out also to Attila Dana. I'm actually had a conversation with him on Twitter, so I know that name. Great to see him in the grid today, and it's good to see Gabo Sarosi being back, a driver that we fought a lot in the previous season, and see if he might make it this time. You already said it, top 15. Those are the drivers that will qualify for the next step of Lamborghini the Riddle Race in 2022, which is the finale round, basically, that we're heading into. Not as hard as winning it in the last chance qualifier, but with the tracks that we have today, which is Hungaroring and Misano, also not easy as, because one mistake here, because I doubt the gaps will be huge, might cost you a ton of spots. So it's really about bringing that Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 back home, and that's another thing, Lee, that we have to mention. We're not in the GT3s, we're in the, I would say, harder cup cars, the brand new EVO2 of the Super Trofeo, which is an incredibly aggressive looking car, and incredibly aggressive actually out there on the track.
Yeah, and it's something that Jordan pointed out last month it was now. Last time he was on, and he was talking about how obviously the handling is a little different from the GT3. GT3, it's built to be stuck to a track basically. So you can be aggressive, but you've also got to be a little bit wary that it's not going to quite stick. So you have to be make your approach into the corner a little clearer. And he kind of touched on it there in the Hungaroring, sort of talking about how you have to position the car for every corner, especially on a track like this where you've got to be very smooth because it's very swingy, like from corner to corner. You have to get your position of your car in the right place, otherwise you find yourself understeering, maybe sliding off the track or into a barrier if you're not careful, especially if it does stay in a wet condition. Every time I think of Hungaroring in a wet condition, I think of Valtteri Bottas in the Formula 1 where he plowed through about 7 people on the start. So I'm hoping we don't have a repeat performance of that in the Lamborghinis today.
Yeah, the start will be hard because I think, at least for me, that is the biggest difference between a race start in real life and a race start in sim racing. So in a race start in real life, being in the car myself and kind of what I feel from the others around me is like everyone tries to play it safe, right? We're not talking about Formula 1 level, obviously. So everyone tries to just make it through because no one wants to ride off a car that's very expensive right there on turn 1. So you get away with a lot. You're braking way too early, then you come off the brakes, then you roll into the corner, and then you're still kind of in there, right? But sim racing, because it's so different, and also the skill gap between drivers is way smaller than in most real-life racing competitions. Everything needs to be 100% on point. And when the weather changes and the entire grip conditions for the drivers, the cars, and tires are not warmed up yet, then being 100% on it on the first corner is really problematic and hard to do. So I just feel that this is way more dangerous in turn 1 than any of the real races I ever did.
I mean, you don't have, multiple hundreds of thousands car underneath you to start with. You don't have all those sponsors sat there looking at you like when you come back to the pit after wrecking it in turn 1. You're like, could have maybe avoided that potentially. Yes, so obviously there's always the money factor in there. Obviously it's going to be a close competition, there's no doubt about it. In terms of points, I would say there's a clear sort of top 7 out there that that certainly could make it through. I think we have 3 different winners. Actually, I think Europe may have been 4 different winners for the European race last time around. So it is a packed field. There's no doubt about it, with a lot of chances for people to make some big points today.
Yeah, we'll see. Will Nicholas Huben have a chance to competing and dominating here in these 2 tracks today, or could it be Luke Whitehead who's actually coming back? I think he was also the quickest one, so he should start on pole position at the Hungaroring at least.
Yeah.
So that gives him a new chance. Let's see at the grid. It is Luke Whitehead on pole position. Bonsignore in second. That's an Italian drive on an Italian car. That's a good combination, I would say, for the front row. Grigis and Pogardl in third and fourth. And then in fifth, it's actually Nicholas Huben, our current leader, in front of Adamczyk. So that's a completely different starting row than I would expect from just looking at standings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's. I'm interested to see how this one's going to work out. Obviously, Huben did certainly very well throughout. Bonsignore, if you remember, was a top competitor last season as well. But we've also got some of the older drivers in there, like Kumpo. If I remember rightly, a 41-year-old Finnish driver in there. So, you know, a lot of experience. Certainly put on some shows last time around. So, Heikki Hoitonen, obviously another Finn in there, the Flying Finn up in 9th. Gabor Sorosi starting out in 7th. So that's probably one of the highest positions I remember seeing him in. But here we go. We are going to have, obviously, the rolling start around the corner, and then away we go.
Interesting is that second row, Grigis, that we see on third, is not in the top 15. So that's someone that's really hunting for points today, because he would not be in the final if we would just skip these 2 races. He has to score today. And Pogardl, for him, it looks a bit better right next to him because he's 5th. So let's see what Grigis does at the start. But with green light here at the Hungaroring, off we go. Luke Whitehead with a great start there on the inside. He should be able to cover that against Bonsignore on the outside. Go full wide already in the background, now driving down into turn 1. Everyone seems to be a bit on the safe side, I would say. No big context in the background, but Luke Whitehead is capable of keeping on to the lead here, at least for the first corners.
Yeah, he put on a great performance last time out. You know, he was very consistent in his point scoring throughout. Don't believe he got a win, if I remember rightly. He was pretty much second and third, like, throughout all the races. So very consistent point scoring. So this is his real big chance here to get some points on the board. Grigis up behind him as well. So really good start from Grigis there. But look at that. Nicholas Huben up to third already from 5th on the grid. So great start from him. Going to try and pick his way through the field. A lot of movers and shakers. Gabor Sorosi keeping his position in 7th place there. Martin Hoyer's fallen down a little bit, down to 9th now as well. Kumpo's still in 11th as well. Heikki Hoitonen, he has been the man that's lost the places. So started out in, I believe, 9th place, down to 15th. So I've got to look back and see if I can find out what exactly happened to him.
Yes, and we also know Bonsignore, obviously, on the losing side of things for the start. Started in started in 2nd, dropped down to 4th. Not a good start at all, but he's currently 4th in the standings, so probably won't be out there hunting for Bulotto, I would say. At least not in the sprint race. If you can keep it going for the next 13.5 minutes, then it should be fine. Hoyer.
He's power sliding.
Oh yeah, Martin Hoyer going wide there. I think this will be not able to catch and bring it in, but good for him. He did not slide into the wall or anything. Catched it early enough. Rear also wasn't over-rotating, so it's all good, but went over the front tire. Martin Hoyer, obviously not to be mixed up with Michi Hoyer, another sim racing pro out there. Mostly, I think, in R-Factor 2 and iRacing nowadays, if I'm not completely mistaken. I had them in many, many races, but they're not related to each other. Attila Dinner currently in 13th. Seems like he didn't have a great start, but there might be an opening for him now, as Adamu, I think, is out on the left there, who did a mistake coming out of turn 1. Really getting all the traction done. Done on the outside, but it's the longer way, especially downhill here.
Yeah, so Adamu moving up to 11th, so good move from him at the moment. Did force, I think it was Dino, as you said, it forced him a little wide on the exit. Get the elbows out, I think it's safe to say. Towards the front, Nicholas Huben up to 2nd now, has got past Grigis, so he's off and away. Now, Huben and Whitehead, this was the chase that happened throughout last time. Also, got to keep our eye on Cutting. Now, obviously we saw, he pretty much took a full slice of the of the chicane there. I'm interested to see how heavy the cutting is. I didn't get to try out the cutting exactly myself to see how much of that corner you can take. Obviously, tyres generally have to stay on the track, and I know two ones did not. It will count up. Obviously, the in-game will catch you out on that. So there's no escaping it. You're not putting it down to human reactions. Obviously, there's certain parts of the track where you can go off safely when it has the runoffs, etc. So, that's some tight braking there from, I think that was Amato up behind Dyna, nearly wiped him out.
No, I think that was,
speaking
that was
of
Barnett.
whiteouts.
There was Dyna on Barnett, and they actually touched next corner, sending Barnett nearly spinning out there. I think Dyna was a bit aggressive on the inside, but couldn't see if Barnett just closed the doors, so we might get that as a replay a bit later. It seems like they're getting their elbows out already early in the race. It is just a sprint race, so 50 minutes, not a long time to really gain positions. But that was the first one. Barnett now dropping down after that slide, and it seems like Hurtinen will also get a shot here into turn 1. That's the greenish car on the inside, but Barnett a bit better here on the brakes. Get the car to stop. Good for turn 1. Nice line through there. Let's see if we can catch up back onto Amato and Dyna.
Yeah, nobody really pulling away. There is a bit of a 1 second gap between 4th and 5th at the moment. Pogdal, so Monsignori's getting away there. Nicholas Hubon, though, you can see just how wet it is at the moment. It's not too bad. It's perfectly drivable for these guys at least. But you just got to look out for a couple of those maybe puddles starting to form. It obviously can happen throughout the race, and maybe, as you mentioned earlier on, sometimes you do have to take a slightly different race in line. Watching Hubon this time around, I think he did track cut because he definitely took a safer line this time around. Speaking of safe lines, Gabba Sarosi just taking a bit of a wide one there as Eamon Fornes getting through.
Yeah, I think Sarosi was just laid on the brakes, and you can get the car to stop in time there, so still take the chicane. So he went from the safe approach, just cut it. Eamon Fornes, as he said, moved up 1 position to 6th. But Sarosi can be happy with that still. Where is he in the standings? He's in the 14th, so he has to fight more points because he could drop out of the top 15. I want to heard from direction that we get the replay of what happened. That is Dyna on Barnett. Let's see what happens here. We're on board with Attila Dyna, the German driver. I would say he kind of forced the gap there.
Yep.
Because I did not see it. I mean,
it
was there. There was a width for a car. I mean,
it was there if you really want to just wedge your car in and torpedo him sideways. Yeah. Sure, it was there. But yeah, that's not really a gap that was.
And he didn't really get alongside either.
Oh, that's a wide one. Is that Bonsignori that just ran wide? It was Bonsignori down to 4th. Grigis benefits from that. He goes through. So a couple of people getting caught out. This is what we're talking about. Obviously, you got to really. This is a very technical track in terms of the car positioning. And when the car, we've already seen, can get a little slidey if you don't quite position it right. We've seen a couple of power slides already started coming through. So if you don't quite catch that braking point at the right point, it can catch you off guard. And Bonsignori, very experienced driver, getting caught out by that. And Grigis, what a great drive from him so far, up to 3rd.
He does a good job there. Like I said, he's one of the drivers that's outside of the top 15. So, by the way, is just to quickly get that through here. Barnard is outside of the top 15 in terms of points. He's currently looking at 14th position here in this race. Adamczyk outside of the top 15 as well, currently in 8th. Hurtinen currently 15th. Then Dyna also out of the top 15 in 12th. Then Grigis, and then Sakharov. Sakharov not driving today, so he will not score any further points. But for everyone else on the list, it is about getting Adamu, Saroshi, and Kucharchak, who isn't in for today's race, to get the points there and actually climb up to the top 15 to make it through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's totally doable. Like some of these drivers that have not turned up today could well find themselves missing out, or find themselves certainly in the last chance qualifier, as it were, because this is the easy way to get through, right? Top 15, certainly doable. Let's have a quick look at this. This is avoiding action. So this is Grigis up behind at the moment with Bonsignori just in front of them. So you can see they're coming up to the corner. So Grigis comes through. Oh, it was just way late on the brakes. Tried to sort of launch it through there. So going for the move, didn't work out. Couldn't get on the brakes quick enough, and that's the danger sometimes in the wet weather. Just can't slow that car down quick enough.
Yeah, still look good though. I mean, both drivers got out alive, kinda. So nothing happened. Shirosi and Fulners actually will get together in a little fight. While Amato has Barnard coming back. Barnard, obviously, after the incident with Dyna, dropped down 2-3 positions. Is now on the way back. So he would love to take down Pierluca Amato here. And it seems like he's a lot quicker. Look how close he's already following. Last 6.5 minutes to go here in our first sprint race of the day. Amato will have to defend his position at least for a while now. I don't see Barnard actually falling back. He's on a good pace right now. Doing a great job following that closely, and they still have Hittinen right behind them. Heikki Hittinen kind of waiting for a mistake to happen. That was Barnard going a bit optimistic over the curbs. That cost time.
That looked like one of the classic, you're following so close that you just follow the line of the driver in front of you, and when one makes a mistake, they both make a mistake. So yeah, he definitely could have caught out. I'm absolutely guilty of doing that myself. I so often fall into that and think, why are my lap times so terrible right now? Oh right, I'm taking completely the wrong line. Yeah, I mean, the top four, they're pretty much breaking away right now. Bonsignore, let's have a quick look at him, because he's right on the backside of Grigis once again. So we'll see whether he tries to maybe make a move for him as they come down the final corner into the back, or the front straight, I guess, the main straight. We'll call it the main straight. There you go. Not a back straight at all. So see whether this is obviously where he made the lunge before. So whether he's going to try and make it into turn one again. Looks like he's going to stick in. Is he going to have a little peek? Has a little peek. Realizes he's not close enough. Doesn't go for it. But yeah. So there's a 4-second gap already starting to build between Bonsignore and Pogacar. So the top four definitely starting to break away. Actually, the top two are breaking away as well. I should say that, because Hubon is almost 3 seconds ahead of Grigis from second to third.
Yeah, if Hubin and Whitehead get another score in like this, first and second.
Fornes has made an error in there. Sorry to cut across you. He's dropped down to 8th from 6th. So both Saurosi and Adamczyk got past him.
Not a great start into the race weekend for him, but to finish the sentence previous of Whitehead and Hubin, if they just go through the finish line like this, they are kind of fine. When we see several drivers here realizing that curbs in the wet, or even worse, AstroTurf, that's the green thing in between, do not touch it. That's the first thing I say every single time when I'm coaching on the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Yeah.
There's AstroTurf on the right. Do not touch it, because it will be the end of your race one day, especially when you're in. Yeah. And your car, yeah, definitely at that point, because you fled out there.
Yeah, gotta be honest, I was looking at my little timing sheet, just waiting. I could see him. I thought, is he about to bin it? I could see him going sideways behind her. But yeah, Patricia is doing pretty well. Adamczyk in 7th place, working her way through. So she's doing a great job at trying to get keep on the backside of Gabor Saurosi as well, sticking very much in there. But look at this, Luke Whitehead under pressure from Nicholas Hubon here. Just under 4 minutes to go in this race, so that equates to roughly about 3 laps, maybe if we're lucky, if they get across the line quick enough. But we're looking at 150 lap time, so most likely we're going to have this is the penultimate lap, I would say.
I'm actually surprised that Hubin seems to have a go at Whitehead now. He doesn't have to risk it at all. The next race he would start in front of him. But hey, if you can add another win to your statistics, it's obviously always appreciated. Race drivers never stop. We know that. While Amato still fighting off Barnett here, and definitely Hittinen now joined them. 3-way fight here.
I think this shows, as Jordan Sherritt pointed out, this is a very tricky track to overtake. Now, Heikki Hoitonen qualified in 9th, and we've seen him leading races as well, but he has been struggling to get past these two cars at the moment, because they're having their own battle, which generally leaves an opening, but he's really been struggling. I don't know, maybe he took some damage in the first lap, I don't know, but obviously we saw him drop back 6 places, but he's a driver I would expect to have actually got through here.
Yeah, it's just not easy at all to find a way, and you see they are different lines available through these turns, but everything else is just not as quick. And it's mostly longer ways, so Barnett is struggling to find a way around. It's 2.5 minutes still to go. He's once again sliding a bit there on the first part of the chicane, then he had to cut across on the second. But great to see them that closely here. We see Hurtinen being a bit tighter on the previous track, really tried to minimize the meters his car has to do. But so far, was enough to really find a way around Barnett or Amato. And Amata seems to be the limiting factor to the lap time right now, because the gap between him and Dyna gets bigger and bigger.
Patricia looking to try and get past Gabasarosi here. Stuck behind. Eva Fornes has refound his form. He's back on her tail. Obviously, he's the man that ran wide, and they both slipped through. We'll see whether she can get past with, well, what's going to be, I would say, the final lap. I don't think... Well, let's have a look at Luke Whitehead's position. I don't think they're going to get another lap out of this. We'll see. They're averaging about 152 a lap. I don't exactly know when they went over the line, so there's a possibility, I would say. But we'll see. Bonsignore up behind Grigis as well, third and fourth. You can see the gap between the top three there. The final podium position. Something Bonsignore held at one point. He's going to want to try and get it back. We'll see whether he makes any rash moves, though, towards the end. I don't think he will. Obviously, we're talking about that we'll have a reverse grid, so top 8 will reverse and going into the main race. So making a risky move right now, it seems a little fitful, really, when the points are not as strong in the sprint race as they are in the main race. So I always feel it's better just to play safe and just finish your race off. Whoa, as I say that, Krieges, you were talking about those curves. He got a little slidey there.
Yeah, it's like you're definitely struggling for traction coming out of it. But it is not the time for all or nothing. That's for sure here in this race. It's a sprint race, as you said. The top 8 will reverse. So just bring it home. Fourth is fine. Third will obviously look a bit better. Podium spot, always appreciate it, but not needed, I would say, for Bonsignore. Grigis needs it, obviously. He's 20th, and he has to enter the top 15 points-wise to make it into the finals. So he will try to defend this. And then I just don't see necessity for Bonsignore to even get into this fight at all. And I think that's the same that happened to Nicholas Hubin and Luke Whitehead. I think Nicholas realized it's not worth it right now to fight, rather do that in the main race. So he just took a bit of time there and waited, but will he cross the line before? No, he won't. So Luke Whitehead winning the sprint race in front of Nicholas Hubin. Then is Leonardo Grigis in third for another podium, which was really, really needed for him to make it into the final. Bonsignore fourth and Pogacar fifth.
Yeah, Patricia did manage to finish on 7th, so Eva Fornes will be your pole sitter in 8th position. Unfortunately, Campo was a little bit further back there. But yeah, interesting to see a couple of gaps coming through there, a couple of contact warnings, but no penalties. No penalties. That's fantastic.
That's rare, actually.
Absolutely amazing. I don't remember a race without penalties so far.
I can tell you at least there were 2 final warnings for people in the race. That was the number 12 and number 15. 15 would have been Barnett, and 12 is number 12. That was Attila Dana. So, yeah, both that were involved there, both on final warnings in the sprint race. Let's see how they carry on in the main race. But yeah, no penalties. I think that never happened so far in Lamborghini the real race, because everyone is always on the edge fighting for points here in this format to make it through. Talking about making it through, we made it through the sprint race, 50 minutes. That means we will get everyone up and running for the 45-minute main race here in probably what is a rainy Hungaroring once again, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we saw how slippy slide it can be. Some of the cars definitely, I mean, I would say most of the overtakes were through, driver error. Simple as that. I don't think we saw like a clean overtake come through. Maybe there was a couple of torpedoes, but I don't think we saw a straight up overtake, which actually kind of proving how difficult it can be to overtake here. So if it does stay wet, it's definitely going to be down to the errors that we saw. And there was quite a few of them, and that was only in a quick 15-minute sprint. So once you're into that 45, concentration is going to be the key, I would say, for some of these drivers to make sure they don't make those errors. Don't follow the line of the driver in front of you, which we saw a few making mistakes doing, especially in the chicane. So it's going to be a tricky race for them.
Whitehead turned his pole position into a win, but we saw Nicholas Hubin decreasing that gap at the end of the sprint race. Will it be the same for the main race, or will Nicholas Hubin overcome Whitehead for win in the 45-minute main race at Hungaroring? All that and even more right after the break.
one!
From break with more racing here at Lamborghini The Real Race. We're still at the Hungaroring, which means track number uno for our group stage here at the EMEA regionally. And we just saw Whitehead bringing it home another win in front of Niklas Huben. Now we're preparing for a 45-minute main race.
Yeah, great result from him. Obviously, they're competing with each other for who's going to finish first, which obviously brings with it a lot of prestige, doesn't it? Let's face it, when you're going through. It doesn't win them any prizes, unfortunately, but you know what? They are battling through. And it was the same last time out in the EMEA. It was Hubon and Whitehead battling out. It was actually Hubon that won the sprint race the first time around as well, so nice to see Whitehead getting himself back in there. Fastest lap went to Hubon, but he still couldn't get past Whitehead. As we mentioned, it probably wasn't worth risking the overtake. He was very close at times, but better just to stay safe, get on through. And I feel moving forward, coming into this 45-minute main race, that the pit stops which they will now have to take are going to be crucial. The question is, what works best? Does the undertake work best? Does the undercut, I should say, the overtake obviously is going to work best, but but does the overcut or the undercut pay off? We've seen it differ on different tracks. I personally don't know how it's going to affect it with these Lamborghinis on the Hungaroring. We're assuming in the wet once again what is going to pay off, because that, especially as we saw, it's a tricky track to overtake. That could be crucial. That could be where you make your overtake.
Yeah, and who makes that first big overtake that we see? We saw one that failed in the sprint race, but maybe it's one of these drivers actually that could make the overtake happen in the main race. Let's quickly get a look into who's on the grid today. And Niklas Huben, he will start in 7th in the main race. 24-year-old from Germany. His favorite Lamborghini is the Huracán. I can approve on that. I think that's fine. Very good car. And we're 24 years old, so prime, I would say, for a sim racer right now.
Yeah, although, hey, I'm gonna back up the older drivers that are on the grid. There are a couple of them. Capaccio, is Capaccio driving today? I'm not sure he is.
No, he isn't.
24-year-old Italian. I don't think he's driving today, guys. Well, we'll just move on from that one. He likes the Miura. That's fine. It's a great car. Actually, I'm not gonna ask what your favorite question is. What your favorite Lambo is, because I feel we have a question for that later. Yeah, I mean, it's a strong grid. That's my main point. I'm interested to see. Still waiting for the server, by the way. It's coming. We'll get there eventually. I want to see how these pit stops are going to work out. What we got here? Darren King. See, now Darren's not here today either.
Yeah, unfortunately, isn't. He's
but
my
Darren
age.
but Darren was actually really huge last week. Obviously, a very well-known ACC driver, has competed in many tournaments, tournaments out there, but was very unlucky last time out. Bonsignore absolutely is here. The 27-year-old Italian finished 4th in the sprint race already, so he's going to be starting 5th on the grid for this main race. Also, one of the leading points standings as well. Currently was in 4th, probably going to be in 3rd place now as well in terms of points. Was 33 points before that first race.
Yeah, he did a good job, even though he couldn't bring home that podium in the sprint race. See if he might be able to do that in the main race. Another Miura, by the way, as favorite Lamborghini. I like that. Luke Whitehead, the winner of the sprint race. 18 years young, I would say, not even old, from Great Britain. Diablo SV, yep, that's where it's at in terms of Lamborghinis. I think that's also my first ever scale model. Yeah, a yellow Lamborghini Diablo SV. I still have that one, actually. Still exists. Robin Pugadl, he's in as well. Another German driver, 26-year-old. Miura P400. So he went into detail on which Miura he likes more. I like that. But it seems like the classic Lamborghinis, they have big fans out there still.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's when was the Miura? It was like, was it 70s?
Let me Google that for you, actually, because I also don't know it right now.
I mean, it's worth a hell of a lot of money these days. It may have been 60s. Is it 70s or 60s?
So the Lamborghini Miura was built in 1966 until 1975.
So kind of both. Obviously, would have competed across the thing. But yeah, that's like the classic.
What do you think the P400? That was listed.
It's very specific, wasn't it? It was a very specific
but I mean, there's
model.
more. There's P400, P400S, and P400 SV, obviously. There's always a Super Veloce in there somewhere. Yeah. How much horsepower do you think they made back in the days?
I'm gonna guess 400, since it's a P400. I'm guessing that's what they were aiming for. I
mean, we're talking about the 60s and 70s, man.
I know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot.
actually, they did as the P400 without any Super Veloce, 350 horsepower and 355 newton meters torque. I would say that is a lot of horsepower for those days.
Yeah, but
I'm shocked.
It was a monster back in the day, though, wasn't it? That car dominated back in the day when it came
I'm
out.
shocked. I didn't expect it to be that fast back in the days.
So what did the P400 mean? If it's not the 400.
I mean, I could read up on this now, but
yeah.
Going
into super detail.
Is, by the way, a V12. No, I absolutely love that in terms of sound.
Yeah, you don't really get them these days.
Is named after Antonio Miura.
We're getting the important information. It was 764 of them built.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. When you think, I would guess, there's probably not many left in circulation, which is why the value of the car would be so incredibly
If you
high
wonder,
these
by
days.
the way, why do we go into details on the Miura? It's not because we want to keep you away from an actual cool start into the rain race. It's just because the start of the rain race isn't on just yet.
Well, we only just got the server up, so
yes,
it's just connected to it.
So don't you worry, we'll get you into the race as soon as we can. Is there anything else that we can look into here? So, I'm just looking up Wikipedia right now about the Miura. If there's anything that you really have to know, it says from 1966 until 1970, they built 474 of them, including the roadsters. They built 475. Okay, in 1975, that was the last time that one of the Miuras left the factory with a 4-liter V12, by the way. That's the really fun thing is that they had 205 with tires. 350 horsepower, 205 with tires. It's incredible. I think Renault Clios nowadays have tires.
Yeah. I mean, technology's moved on a little bit.
Yes.
The 60s,
Tiny.
70s.
Tiny steps. In terms of I mean, look at the Lamborghinis nowadays. I mean, incredible art style.
So
just love all the edges.
50, what's that, 58 years old now? When would you say it was? 65 was the first one.
66 was the first one.
66. So when England won the World Cup, that's basically. That long ago. Hey, we can claim the women won the World Cup recently, so it's not been like that many years of hurt anymore. Production are trying to move us on.
Smart move by them, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at drivers again. Artur Kuracek, 27 from Poland. He is not with us today.
But he is in the points. He might still make it through.
Yeah, he's 13th, but we know that Dinah Barnett and
Sarosi, Adamu, Barnett,
Grigas made a lot of points.
They're all going to pass in points, I think.
Yeah, I think there's no chance for him to stay in the final.
Also another driver that's not here.
Yeah, Poland obviously a very strong country by now for sim racing. Mateusz Tyszkiewicz, 24-year-old, Huracán GT3.
That's a good point. So he had 45 points. I wonder if he still makes it through, because that was obviously he was our first highest point scorer last time out. So I wonder if he's going to get through. Grigas obviously is. He just got himself a 3rd place in the last one. Apparently we're moving to the grid. That's interesting, because I didn't even have a server yet. It still shows 0 of 42 in there. So okay.
There we go. We got the grid, and Fornes will actually start in pole position in front of Adamczyk. Then Shiroshi and Pogardl in the 2nd row. Bonsignon and Grigas, they will share the 3rd row. Nicholas Huben and Luke Whitehead obviously in 7th and 8th, because we have the top 8 reversed from the previous sprint race. And then it's Kupu, Hoyer, Adamu, Dine and Barnett. They're on this last warning already by race control from the previous sprint race. And then Marto and Hirtinen, 14 and 15, rounding out our grid here in rainy Hungary on the Hungaroring. And let's hope for another clean start there into turn 1, because sprint race looked very good, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, for Ivan Fornes, who's going to be leading out on the pole there with Patricia alongside him, the question is, he made a big mistake. It was him that locked up, went skiddy, and then Sarosi and Patricia both went straight past him. So he's the man that's going to be leading this one. There's a lot of pressure on him going into the first corner, but here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Waiting for those green lights, they're hanging on. They finally dropped. There we go. It took them a little while, and that's why some of the drivers are maybe being caught off guard, but it is going to be Ivan Fornes leading into the first corner. Patricia Adamczyk just alongside. Look at that. So Gabo Sarosi right up tucked underneath, and it's actually paid off for Sarosi. Patricia took the delicate line. They're almost 4 wide, and that's almost certainly going to collect, and I think it was Grigas that got caught in there. Pagardal actually was the man that got sandwiched as they come into the second corner. Still 3-4 wide, very tricky corners, a lot more feisty than the first sprint race worked out. That's a car going sideways further back. I think that's Pogardal once again. Hubon also caught out a little bit, but he manages to move himself back up into 6th position. Patricia Adamczyk down to 6th as well. She's fallen down, and Hubon and Whitehead are the ones making moves. Whitehead up into 4th, Hubon into 5th. They are scything their way through the first few corners.
Yeah, I think it was Adamczyk there. Like crossing over Pogardl, who was on the receiving end, kinda. He dropped a few places after his car got squeezed. I hope the damage is not too big for the main race just yet. Luckily, didn't lead to a big crash.
Tagged in the chicane. That was Pogardl again. He's having a nightmare of a first lap. He's been the victim, I would say, in the first couple, and it causes a bit of a disaster in the chicane, and that's going to cause quite a gap further down. So 3 or 4 car incident involved there. So A real tricky first lap. Definitely not as clean as we had in the sprint race. We were happy we didn't have a single penalty in the first race, but I feel we might be seeing a couple this time out. There's definitely going to be some warnings happening after this first lap.
Yeah, I think we were not getting around the no penalties this time, as we did in the sprint race. Nicholas Hubin in 5th, still chasing down Luke Whitehead. So he was in front of Whitehead at the start, but what happened in having way more motion and movement in the first lap than we had in the sprint race, he dropped behind his sworn arch enemy, kinda, these races. So let's see if he can follow up now, or even take him down when they approach Gabo Sarosi. He's going in, sitting in 3rd, Bonsignor. He lost out so many places in the sprint race start, but it seems like main race start, that's exactly what he had to do here, because now all of a sudden he leads that race.
And he's got himself, what, a 1.6 second lead already? Oh, and Fornes has gone wide there. That was a wide path, cuts it back in there, so that's opened it up. Gabo Sarosi, the man under pressure from Whitehead and Hubon. And Emchik got herself back into this one, still in 6th position. Did start in 2nd, of course, so lost a couple at the start, but you know what? She's managed to level herself out. Kumpo up into 7th as well, so great movement from Kumpo. He's managed to work through, starting out in 9th, up into 7th already, getting very close. Patricia there onto the backside of Hubon.
Let's see if they can sort that out early on in the race. It is a longer one, obviously. We have a pit stop here. We still have 42 minutes to go. So not everything has to be settled right away, but Nicholas Hubin obviously has to follow Whitehead if he wants to get the overall win in the group stage in the EMEA region. For that, he has to take down Gabo Sarosi. It wasn't a big problem for the British driver right in front. Nicholas Hubin also really want to risk anything too big right now. Where is Grigas? Grigas in 8th. That's the driver that needs to score the most to make it into the top 15. But
it's an overtake there, so hopefully we can catch that on a replay. Ooh. But Whitehead gets past Gabo Sarosi and is on the backside of Ivan Fornes as well. Maybe we'll be able to sneak his way through here. So Luke Whitehead really working his way through the pack. Looks at the inside, possibly on the final corner, but he's going to be right on the rear fender of that Lamborghini as they come down to turn 1.
Yes, it's quite some fights here on the grid wherever we look, as Luke Whitehead is approaching Ivan Fornes already that early in the race. Seems like the reverse grid doesn't stop Luke at all from making it, sending it into turn 1. I think that was a bit optimistic, but luckily Fornes opened the door for him, trying to avoid a crash here. And with that, Luke Whitehead kind of forced an opportunity here. But he's on the outside down the hill, really hard to break the car there, and you need to make sure that you're not slipping away on the outside line. He did slot it back into the line, but for now he still has to stay behind Fornes.
Yeah, keeping my eye on, obviously, Hubon just behind Gabo Sarosi, just behind them as well. So, obviously, these two were 1st and 2nd last time out. Oh, opening the door a little bit for Hubon. Whitehead was thinking, oh, should I go for it? Fornes a little erratic, trying to just position it. Almost, I would say, going for that hot lap line instead of the racecraft line that maybe he should be focusing on, rather trying to swing himself in for that corner, maybe just actually defend for the corner, which can catch a couple of people out if they've just been, obviously used a hot lap in as much as they can. But Fornes at the moment definitely under pressure here from Luke Whitehead, wants to get his car past because there's a massive gap forming. I mean, Bonsignore is 3 seconds plus down the road already, so he is off at the moment, and obviously this is a man that's, well, going to be currently 3rd in the points, obviously finished 4th in the last race, so definitely going to be looking to try and score more here as Whitehead looks up the inside. This time he definitely has his car in the right position, gets himself past there. Fornes was caught napping and he's made the move stick. Meanwhile, behind them, I just got a glimpse of Gabo Sarosi also looking to open up. Hubon trying to see if he can squeeze up the inside. Looks like he might be able to make this stick. He will be on the outside here as he tries to squeeze around. Can he get the undercut done as they come once again round the final corner onto that main straight? And he is going to be looking to try and make this move going into turn 1.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that right now. It's like Nicholas Hubin was the fastest driver in the sprint race in terms of quick lap times, but Luke Whitehead, like how he creates overtaking opportunities besides that launch into turn 1, which I think was, I mean, he played with it, right? He would have not touched Fornes, but Fornes still opened the door out of being afraid of getting the contact in. So I think Whitehead really proves how you can create opportunities for yourself even on a track like Hungaroring, and Niklas Huben just not as successful as Whitehead is in slicing through the grid here, and that's why there's no big gap between them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the mental edge, right? I think Whitehead realised that once he'd put that pressure on Simon Fornes, you know, he's already made that pressure stick that, okay, if I do this again, Ivan's probably not going to turn in on me, because he's already sort of proven that, and he actually gave me probably more space than he deserved. So he's probably setting that up throughout the lap and thinking, right, okay, once I get to that, it was the second to last corner, wasn't it? He made the move stick. Once I get that position, he's not going to turn on me. So he's already won that mental battle effectively of like, he's going to leave space, I'm going for the gap.
Seems like we're calming down a bit now after fairly threatening first laps here in the main race. Although Niklas Huben still great at closing down the gap to Shirosi, but just not being able to make it stick when he actually goes for the move. Grigas behind Kumpo. A fight for 7th and 8th here in the background. Grigas just showing himself in the rearview mirror of that Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 of Kumpo. Maybe trying to force an error here. That's a very early pit stop.
There's a couple came in as well. That's Hubon came in as well. So I mean, there's no reason the pit window can be at any point. Obviously, in the game it will say pit window open, but in terms of our rules, you can take that pit stop whenever you want. And for Hubon, he's thinking, you know what? I'm stuck behind Shirosi right now. I'm not getting past. I'm going to take that early pit stop. Take that big gamble early on. 3 drivers all coming in for it as well.
I'm quite surprised by that, I have to say. Very early pit stops by Dino. Huben and Grigas here. They all have to do one. There's no pit window, so they can do it whenever they want, whenever they like. I wonder if they felt like, okay, this track is so close, you're running into people all the time, can't really spread your wings unless you're Bonsignore and just run away with it right now. But if I'm stuck in traffic, then during the pit stop early, and then trying to close to the drivers that are still stuck behind a few slower ones, that might be a good call, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what they get caught behind, right? Is there a big open gap in front of them? Does he get stuck behind, I don't know, Pagardel, for example, who obviously had a bit of a disaster of a first lap when he got clattered twice, I think it was, and he got caught out. Looks like Hubon, though, has got some clear air. Now, we know he can put the laps in. He was the fastest driver in the first sprint race, so it's obviously on him to try and get those laps in now and see if he can gain, because obviously for Luke Whitehead has got past Fornes, so Whitehead has that clear air. However, he's also 4 seconds behind Bonsignore, but he's going to be able to start putting those laps in. He's already put the fastest lap in as just a 1:53.9. To put that in perspective, in terms of obviously they are carrying 45 minutes of fuel this time around, so a lot more fuel, but that is over a second slower than the sprint race fastest lap.
Yeah, obviously they run with more fuel and all of that, and we also don't know how all the conditions are compared to the sprint race. We will have increasing rain in the next 30 minutes, so it's definitely not drying, that's for sure. While Heikki Huttunen is now running away from Pagardel, big loser of the first 2 laps, I would say, dropping down heavily. I think he started in 4th on this race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, started 4th, dropped 7 places. So it's obviously dropped more than that, but that was because of the pit stops. It's only technically 7. It was actually 10 as Pagardel tries to make his move with Heikki Huttunen there and see whether he can make it stick. But at the moment, he's a slippery driver, but manages to get past. So first overtake done. Like to see it, Pagardel. You know you can do them, and that's going to give him a bit of confidence now.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by how they create the opportunities right now, and it's good to see here on the Hungaroring and sprint race. I wasn't sure if we'll see any overtaking actually in the main races. They keep going like this, but they're doing a good job now putting on a show in terms of overtaking.
Luke Whitehead has now pulled himself a 2-second gap over Ivan Fornes, so he's already starting to stretch that lead and chase down Bonsignore, who's simply hot lapping in front of him at the moment. Sort of putting the work in. For Gabas Rossi, Patricia Adamczyk, they're all trying to put as much as they can. The pack has started to slowly stagger out, though. It was all within like half a second before, so anyone makes a mistake, you're going to get 2-3 cars go past you. Now it's starting to stagger out, though, so Kumpo and Adamu starting to fall a little bit of a gap there. Obviously, Martin Hoyer as well, he's dropped back. And this is, well, I guess playing out for the likes of Hubon that did go for that early pit stop. And we'll see whether it does pay off for him. You can see he's all green. Him and Grigis as well, I should mention, because Grigis obviously finished 4th in the first race as well. So real chance. Actually, no, he was 3rd, wasn't he? He was the final podium man because Bonsignori couldn't catch him. So real chance. We'll see. And we're talking about, obviously, I was talking about undercuts and overcuts early on. This is a massive undercut if it pays off. It's hard to judge at this stage.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if there's any real difference. Like I said, I think going in early might work well because people in traffic right now are just not as quick in terms of lap times overall. So I could see Hubin coming back, and it will be most interesting for me between Luke Whitehead and Nicholas Hubin. And when Whitehead comes in for his pit stop, if we will see him anywhere close to Nicholas Hubin, or if Nicholas Hubin even makes it past, that would be big news.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's obviously what they're banking on. And I guess they were maybe hoping that... Well, actually, for Hubin, I think he just realised. He's like, okay, Luke Whitehead's in second. He's got clear out. I have to do something to try and counter that. Because that's who he's racing against effectively, isn't it? Obviously, for them, in terms of points, they're probably... they are into the final already. Let's not kid ourselves. I don't think even if they have a disaster here or in the next race at Misano, whether they have a complete disaster there, they're still going to be through. But for them... This is competition, this is racing, this is what you live for, right? This is what a sim racer lives for. You get in that rig and you set yourself up, the nerves are there, and you've got to try and do your best. Whether he's got somebody maybe in his corner for him as well, there's a bit of a crew chief trying to give him what he can, give him the advice, and maybe they've just tried to figure a game plan out. Obviously, some of these guys absolutely are representing teams and orgs out there. So these guys probably have got somebody behind them as well, figuring the best possible plan out for them.
Yeah, it's always good to have help, and we see that nowadays in sim racing, how much effort you have to put in general, right? It starts with equipment and actual field of view, and then goes over to setup work and strategizing and having a team around you helping, either trying to figure out the setup or building that strategy and monitoring other cars and letting you know when's a good time to pit and all of this. So by now, this is more than one man, one women's job, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hubon's gone fastest lap, 153.78, as opposed to Luke Whitehead at the moment, 153.84. So still very much in the same span as one another. That gap continuing to grow, by the way. Ivan Fornich, you can see here in 3rd place, still got Gabo Sarosi behind him. So I think this has actually paid off for Hubin. I think, when it comes to pit stops, he's going to pass both of these drivers, and I think it will work out well for him. The question is, can he get any further than that? I think top 3 is almost certainly on the cards now, but whether he's going to catch Whitehead or Bonsignori, I probably doubt, I think, at the moment, because they're both also putting in some quick times.
Yes, but both looking strong and fast right now, but like I said, it will be interesting to see in the end if that pays off for Hubin. Now being all the way in the back, but at least he doesn't have to fight, and we know he had been right in there with Sharozi, Adamczyk, Kumpu in that group trying to chase down Luke Whitehead, so at least for now he can spread his wings and just let that Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 go as quick as it can. So that might pay off in the long run, I would say.
Yeah, a 153.670. So he's put another fast lap. So Hubon has got his groove on right now. The question is there, what's down the line? What's ahead of him? Obviously, he's got a massive empty space, so he's basically hot lapping. He's in qualifying sort of session as much as he can. We'll see whether he can keep it up, whether he can gain ground, because that's a lot of ground to gain, I would say, for him. And I guess, being that it is a wet race, and being that there are gaps forming, we could start talking about back markers when we get to sort of the final 10 minutes, I think. For 10-15 minutes, that could be a big part to play.
Yeah, so many factors that can decide the outcome of such a race here. Gabo Sharosi, he was around for the previous season. We both actually commented on races with Sharosi back then. So far, not in contention to really get the title once again, it was Jordan Sherrod, obviously, the driver of Lamborghini that you saw.
Nobody was in contention.
Yeah, no one in the EMEA, probably. It was only Jordan Sherrod that had a real shot at the crown there. Now that Jordan Sherrod is already part of the Lamborghini sim racing team, there's a chance for drivers like Sharosi, who definitely is, I would say, a very consistent driver. Qualifying every time, making sure that he's within the race. It's just, he's missing that one last bit to really be a top contender.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, he's been there. I would say he's improved from last time. We saw him as well.
Yes.
If you remember last season in the real race, we saw him in these positions. You'd often see maybe a mistake come through, or maybe collect somebody in the overtake, or get sent down, but always would be sort of sniffing around sort of the 7th, 8th, 9th position maybe. Now we see him in a much better position, and honestly, I would say the field is, other than obviously not having Jordan here, I would say the field is stronger. I think so. We've got legit contenders in the SRO that are taking part. These are some top drivers. That is a tough competition for any stretch. And for these drivers to all be taking part shows obviously the pedigree of the real races has improved considerably, and also the fact that he himself has obviously a year on has improved his skills. And not only him, I would say quite a few of the races in here that are competing. I would say for Kumpo as well, definitely a driver that's continuing to progress. A 41-year-old driver from Finland. I should get that across. And while I say that, obviously, in my new job, I know the statistic positions. I was actually surprised to see how many of the drivers of my age and your age, I'm even going to throw you in there, Rene, are well into their 30s and 40s, the sim racers. Because, there's obviously this is a growing form of esports in every aspect, and obviously people that have been around, especially for me, like when I was a kid, when you were a kid, we didn't have anything like this, obviously, especially for you, because you were competing, right, in these sort of things, and you didn't have the technology that you have at your feet nowadays is fantastic, and it's great to see people with, let's say, dispensable income, that are actually able to compete and still keep in there, because I know how hard it is to sit in that rig for hours on end to try and practice your craft. Some of these guys have put in a lot of hours.
Oh, they definitely did. I mean, back in the days were simpler times, right, in terms of equipment, and we also probably didn't put as many hours in as they have to do nowadays. Yeah. Just because the grids weren't that big. Let's be real here. It's like,
yeah,
I was part of the Pro Series back in the days with Niels Naujoks, who might ring a bell nowadays still, right? Because he's with
he's still pretty good,
right? He's still pretty good. He's still winning events in ICC. He was multiple times champion in the Pro Series back in the days on the for speed, and so was Danny Engels, not multiple times champion, but he was in Pro Series. I was there, and that was the top 20, 25 of Germany, which for us was a big thing, right? Because esports wasn't as international as it is nowadays with the pings and all of that. And nowadays, I would say the Pro Series grid, it was crazy. People were good. But in terms of overall grid strength, I could probably have that in like 100 community leagues nowadays. Where there's equally strong. Just because there's so many good drivers and sim racing scene just grew exponentially. And there's so many good drivers out there competing everywhere. Same here. It's like that. This is a very strong grid.
All right, here's Hubon. Whitehead is on his way out the pits, I believe. Ooh, this is going to be tight. Where's Hubon? There he is. Don't switch away, damn you, camera. Damn you. And Hubon, he's right on his butt. Oh, this could be a tough outlap for Whitehead, I feel. He's just come out on fresh tyres. Hubon has been putting fastest lap after fastest lap, 153.437. The question is, does he overcook it? Oh, he nearly did there. Swung in a little wide. But, I mean, this was the whole gamble. This was the points of it all. This is why Hubon came in very early on the pit stops. But I think maybe a little heartbreaking to have Luke Whitehead pull out right in front of him like that.
I made Hubin one time because there were two cars in between him and Luke Whitehead when he pulled into the pits. But I think he wasn't expecting the Whitehead right in front of it. So the gain is 2 seconds. Still was worth it. He's now fighting Whitehead directly. but Whitehead is on slightly fresher tyres at the end. And since we didn't saw Huben being capable of making the move early now, where it's like, okay, Whitehead comes out of the pits, a difference of speed, a different in tyre temperature and all that, right? He needs to get into the rhythm again. But he wasn't able to capitalize on that. So I would say this definitely plays in the hands of Whitehead.
Yeah, now obviously the ultimate question is when does Bonsignori come in and how does that pay off him? I think he had roughly a 3-second gap to Whitehead before Whitehead came in the pits, so that's going to be a real test of where they come out. Now obviously we also saw Gabasarosi came in the pits, so he's obviously currently running behind Huben, but a little further down the road, 5-second gap already. Now Patricia Adamczyk came in as well. She came in one lap before. She was obviously battling earlier on with Ivan Fornes and Sarosi, so we'll see where she comes out in just a moment as they all come past. Is that her just exiting the pits? Yes, it is, and Sarosi does go past. So Sarosi goes past, but she is going to come out ahead of, I think that's Campo that's just down the road, so yes. So the question is now, she needs to put in the laps and see whether she can get ahead of Ivan Fornes, who is still running out there at the moment.
Yeah, we got half the grid now that was in the pits and half the grid that wasn't, kinda. So let's see if that turns out for everyone else that tries to stay a bit longer on the first set of tyres here in this first main race that we have today. Obviously, there's another track coming up. Misano up next. We'll do a sprint race once again, 15 minutes, and then head into the 45-minute main race on Misano, which is the main race we're currently at here in on the Hungaroring. But Nicholas Huben and Luke Whitehead, kind of a real couple that we all see together on the track fighting. We saw that Whitehead was a lot more successful today in getting around other cars in terms of overtaking. Way more aggressive than Huben, way more successful, as I said, in terms of the outcome. We saw Huben launching like 2 or 3 attacks at Galbasarosi and never got to stick and never really gaining a position. But in terms of quickest lap times in sprint and main race, it was always Nicholas Huben having the upper hand.
Yeah, and I think this is, well, I mean, I think it's safe to say this is going to be the battle for the championship. It's like once we get to the final, we're probably going to see these two facing off against each other. Last time out, it was Huben that came out on top. This time out, it seems Whitehead may well be sneaking out on top. But let's not discount Bonsignori, who is obviously going to have a say in this main race here. We'll see when he pits at the moment. He is still staying out there. Got himself a huge lead built up based on the fact that obviously it was... Was it Sarosi that was holding them up? No, Ivan Fornes, sorry, that was holding them up earlier on. So obviously that's where they came through. Ivan Fornes under pressure there. I think that's Sarosi, isn't it? That's Fornes has managed to squeeze through there. So nicely done. So Fornes just come out the pits. It means he comes out in front of Sarosi. So that's pretty huge.
It's interesting how far away Luke Whitehead is still from leading this race, I have to say. I was kind of expecting. Oh, yeah. No, this looks a lot better. I was confused once again by the standings. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, this can't be true. I was expecting Whitehead and Huben to be up front because Bonsignore is still out there. And he was leading from the start, kind of. And built a 4-second gap last time around. It's now a bit bigger than that, that's for sure. So if Bonsignore can still slot in before Whitehead and Huben, that will be huge. I'm not seeing it happening right now, but what I see happening is Galbasarosi and Ivan Fornes fighting and keeping it going, and Sarosi definitely capable of launching it here next turn around.
Yeah, absolutely. He's, as you mentioned before, with the same with Whitehead, right? He's coming out with obviously fresher tyres, but also they're not prepped, whereas Huben in the same position of Sarosi is very much on it, has had his eye in it, but we'll see how that pays off as they still continue. Still no pit stop coming in from Bonsignori, staying out long, seeing if it pays off. And well, in terms of lap times, let's have a quick look. Bonsignori 153.9, which is still very respectable. 153.6 and a 153.4 coming out from Whitehead and Huben. So Huben still very much keeping on it there. as they pass on by the pits of both Barnett and Pogadal, of course, who are going to be much further down the field by the time they exit the pits. Pogadal, I want to see where he actually comes out, because obviously he was a man that was running pretty well and then had a lot of incidents in the first lap, got clattered many times, and he's looking to come out. It looks like it's going to be about 12th or 13th for him. So he has gained a little bit of ground in that pit stop, but not a great deal. 12th in the end.
Yeah, wasn't really worth it, I would say. I mean, worth it, right? They had to do the pit stop anyway, so at least nothing won, nothing lost, kind of, in the strategy compartment. Trisha Adamczyk in 10th, behind Saroshi and Fonius. They were fighting. Yep, that's obviously 8 points, Saroshi 6 and 7. And then we nearly had everyone in the pits, besides Bonsignore, Adamu, and Amato. Amato and Adamu, not really any key drivers right now for the result, but Bonsignore will be the interesting one, while Francesco Adamu now comes into the pits. Hopefully early enough with the pit limiter, not getting any speeding tickets.
Oh, was that Grigis? That was Grigis just behind it, lost it there. He's lost a position because of that as well. That's Martin Hoyer gone through. Oh, drive-through penalty for Luke Whitehead. That is huge. That's going to be cutting. That's too many cuts.
Luke Whitehead getting the drive. I mean, that's the one driver that kind of doesn't have to risk it.
He's taking it straight away. That's actually gonna pay off massively for Nicholas Hubon. So Hubon's away, and now the big question is how does that pay off for Bonsignore? They have been putting in quicker times. Half a second quicker, is it enough? I think it was a 3-second gap before Bonsignore, before everyone went in. For Bonsignore, that's going to be a case of can Hubon catch him? Now, obviously, this is the free air he needs. Does Bonsignore realise that? I would assume the Italian has spotters out there that are telling him that now he is free. The question is, does he try and pull in? Ooh, I wonder where the predictions will fall and whether he can hang on to that win.
Yeah, it will be quite interesting. Like, as soon as Bonsignore comes in, we have to keep an eye out on for Hubin. If he makes a way around, that's a replay that we get from that. I love. Oh, they slide around. That's Whitehead getting the drive. Oh, did he extend it here too much?
It's just an exit. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's how he got the last cut.
Yeah, and I've wondered that earlier because obviously we've seen quite a few people making that same move. It's harsh. It's harsh, right? Because you're on the exit. It's not like you're cutting a corner. You are on the exit, and the car's just sliding, but also means you're carrying too much power through that corner, which is why you've slid out that way. But it is a harsh cut to have that penalty forced on you from. Oh, Bonsignore in the pits. Here we go.
Now it counts. Can Nicholas Hubin be quick enough to get the lead here in the main race, or did Stefano Bonsignore do enough in the first half of the race here, where he spread the lead? I mean, he never had any traffic so far, but we also know Nicholas Hubin was the fastest car on track, so over time, did that balance out? Did they might come in again? That's Nicholas Hubin now coming by the pit entry. Stefano Bonsignore is still standing in the pits, and I think this could be Nicholas Hubin. Oh no, Bonsignore had the pit so right before the exit. So he's still out there, still leading.
But can he hold it? Because Hubin's going to be right on his backside in a second. There we go. So Bonsignore does hold on to the lead, hanging out as long as he could. And it has paid off, it seems. I mean, I say it paid off. When Hubin went in the pits, he was in 5th place, and Bonsignore was way down the line. He was 5-6 seconds ahead. So he's gained that much time. That's incredible. That is a wide run from Hubin there. The same run that we just saw Luke Whitehead getting a cut for. He has got to be very careful of that.
Yeah, talking about penalties, Barnett also picked up 15 seconds to his race. I'll not be happy about that. Luke Whitehead, obviously after being in the pits twice now, could do a drive-through penalty, down to 13th. Not really where we would expect him to be here at the race in Hungaroring.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. There's no doubt about it. He was in the running, but, you know, the track limits are there for a reason, and, you know, that's in the end the real problem. Amato, the last man to pit, so he comes through. So now it is all on the top two, and let's not discount the battle now for the podium. Ivan Fornes, Gabo Sarosi. I guess you could bring Patricia Adamczyk and Nico Compo into this as well, as that was another wide run. I think that was Martin Hoyer perhaps just further down the line there. But this is now a battle for third.
Yeah, it is, and I like that we have that on. And it's quite impressive. All this came together. Amato obviously now the last one to pit, and then everyone did their duty kind of. But Ivan Fornes, he will have Sarosi on his back, and they will keep going with that. The big question is, can Hubin close that gap to Bonsignore, which is already above him a minute, I wouldn't say a second. And can he grab the win? Because Luke Whitehead, he's kind of out of contention for this one, at least in the main race, because after his drive-through penalty, he might still make the top 10. I mean, it's 13 minutes still to go, but he will not get back up to Bonsignore and Hubin.
That's some big gaps, right? He's nearly 4 seconds behind Pagada. Pagada's no slouch either. He's also 3 seconds down on Amadamu, so I think top 10's a big ask there. We'll see whether he can put the times in. Maybe something he can go for his fastest lap. Who knows? It's always a win, right? To get the fastest lap. It's the second gap between Hubon and Bonsignore still, so that's not closing. What is gaining, though, is the gap between Hubon and Fornes. So Fornes still fighting in there. We'll see whether this telltale bright orange Lamborghini Huracan can manage to make it work for him. But Sarosi keeping that pressure on. I'm sure he would love, all the benefits we've been talking about, how Sarosi has improved over the last year. For him to get a podium in the main race here would be huge.
Yeah, definitely. But Ivan Fornes is also not someone you just get easy to get rid of here in this race. Fornes looks dialed in. Good lap so far. And Sarosi, he had his shot, kind of. It was very close a few laps earlier. Couldn't make the move, though. Now has to live with a bit on the backside once again.
Yes, hanging on in there. I'm interested to see what Barnett. I got to assume a 15-second penalty. That's generally because he's punted someone, right? That's the only penalty, though. Still, outside the drive-through, there's 2 penalties for this entire race. For sprint race, we had nothing. For the Barnett incident, yeah, it was just a little punt. I got to assume. Bonsignore, though, his lead is slowly dropping a little bit here to Hubon. Hubon continuing to post fastest laps. I still don't think with 11 minutes to go. Let's have a look at the Barnett incident. This is what, obviously, the one and only 15-second penalty has come through. Who's that poor prey that's in front of him? Okay. It was at the start. He just launched it through. I mean, there was a gap there, in fairness, but he was coming in a little bit hot there, and I think that was Grigius. I think I spotted the first man he caught.
You wanted behind. Bottas, you got Bottas.
Basically, yeah.
There we go then.
Oh, it was Martin Hoyer. Martin Hoyer's the blue, yeah. So it was Martin Hoyer who clattered in behind.
A bit unfortunate, but Hoyer currently in 7th, so I can complain about that one. Barnett, so far, the only one then that got a penalty for anything else other than track cutting. So we have 1 track cut penalty, right, which is Whitehead. And Barnett got 15 seconds for probably something on track.
Still 10 minutes to go. Could be more.
That's true. And we still have another race to come, so...
Well, speaking of that, Fornes, that is a very wide run there. And that's going to put Sarosi right on his bumper. That's not the ideal exit he was looking for. And we were talking about how you could get more penalties. The last 10 minutes of these main races does tend to hot up. That's when people are realising they could gain that position. Speaking of positions, Fornes is having a few issues. And Sarosi looking to try and benefit from this.
Robin Pugardle still in 10th out there. So, no, not a great start, not an ideal one for sure. He got sandwiched early on, having laps on his own kind of out there in the rain. Talking about the rain, that's probably what makes it harder for Gabo Sarosi to follow Ivan Fornes here for a podium in the main race. Adamczyk right behind, also closing the gap here. 1.5 seconds so far. Let's keep an eye on that. She might get closer and gets Rossi into trouble. Hubin, 0.3 to Bonsignore, so this might be the big fight here for the last remaining nearly 9 minutes in the main race. Hubin, who scored second in the previous sprint race right behind Luke Whitehead. Now Luke Whitehead out of the way, obviously, with a penalty. So Bonsignore, the only one that keeps Nicholas Hubin away from winning, point-wise, the trip to the Hungaroring, I would say. Because, yeah, Whitehead will definitely not make it, so it should be Hubin, unless something big happens now.
Yeah, and he's closed down the gap. Uh-oh. 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 That's worrying.
Yeah, where's seems like someone packed up all of our Lamborghinis. I mean, they're quite valuable. I hope that they're not stealing them from us. All the Super Trofeo EVO2's gone. I can definitely tell you none of them are in my garage. So wasn't me, Lee, but it seems like the server little problems here and there, and that kind of throws us into this weird segment of our faces, talking faces on broadcast, Lee. What about that?
Well, I'd like to say I've never been here before.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that quite a few times. Yeah, that's a real kicker. We only had, well, we were into the final 10 minutes, right? I think we only have about 8 minutes left of the race. So we'll see what the admins decide, whether it's whether it happens. I can see the drivers also saying, oh my god, I was scared, I thought it was me. A few people thinking they themselves are disconnected, but no, it's the same. So everybody's gone down, so it wasn't a thing. So whether we keep the positions as was, or whether a move on, or whether we redo that race, is an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was settled. I think the big question was,
yeah, I think so.
Hubin or a Bonsignore winning, right? That was the fight we were going into with 0.3 between those drivers. Redoing it 4 or 5 minutes, I mean, depends on getting quite late for everyone out there on Sunday, but I doubt that will change a lot in terms of the actual standings. But it's not up to us; it's up to race direction.
No, exactly, and like whether they end up with like a half points or something like that. Obviously, it could be huge because obviously we were talking about the fact that, you know, in terms of standings itself, we've got Tiskovic, who was in third place in terms of points, is not here today. So there's quite a few that could drop down. Darren King as well, of course. Capaccio. Some of these drivers that all did very well in the first section of the group stages of the first 2 races could drop out, and if we suddenly have half points, that could change quite a few things for some of these guys. So obviously, this, as you say, it's not down to us; it's down to race control and to figure out exactly how that works out. For us, though, we had some great racing. You know, we had a lot of moments within there that certainly were very entertaining. As was predicted, Hungaroring is a tricky track to overtake on.
Yes, John Sherritt was absolutely right in his track guide, and but it also brings drivers together, right? We saw that. So we mostly have very small gaps compared to the super high-speed tracks that we already visited, like Spa, for example, like the Nürburgring. So I think Hungaroring once again proves that it's a very entertaining track and really gets the best out of drivers. Misano will be, let's say, similar in terms of flow. Misano, obviously, with those long sweeping corners in every sector, kind of. Really hard for me to always keep tracking where I'm actually at that track, because it all feels so similar. And a lot of braking zones that kind of go over a kink, or like into a kink, which is quite interesting. And in terms of trail braking and how to set up the car for the upcoming corner. So it will be very, very cool to go over to Misano. And obviously we don't know yet. If you've just tuned in, unfortunately we lost connection on the server. It seems like everyone dropped instead of not just us. So we kind of stayed on the server.
Oh yeah.
Standing. So we won, Lee. That's a clear win for us.
I'll take that. I don't win too often. I'll take that as a co-op drive on the endurance test that was a Hungaroring.
So we basically have a win, both to us, in a main race in Lamborghini.
Do we get the points to go for the finals as well? Do we?
Just imagine,
I mean, technically we're in the finals already.
Kinda. But you
kind of?
you can't.
Things could change. Things could change.
True. We don't know, but we kind of can't win the €15,000 prize pool. Split across the regions.
I would take that.
5k each, and we can also not win the spot in the Lamborghini eSports sim racing team. I would be up for that. Lamborghini, get me in. Make me a part of the Lamborghini eSports team. Team boss Renee.
Make me a part of it.
It's kind of. I mean, what would they get if they would make me team boss? Kind of Günther Steiner of GT Racing then.
I mean, technically you're a team boss already, so I mean you've got the experience of being team boss, right? That's something going forward.
That is true. I mean, team boss of a team that actually owns real cars as well, right? It's not. I always say there's real racing in sim racing, but there's obviously no real cars in sim racing. I did both. I had both. I'm still doing both, actually. Sim racing and real racing. So, yeah, Lamborghini, I'm a real asset. Think about it.
That's it. See? That's it. We're sold. We're sold. I'll get the CEO on the line.
Probably.
Winkelmann will decide whether you're actually, you're good enough. But yeah, I think it could happen.
Might need a Lamborghini race car. But I would be
obviously, yeah. Give you a race car, just a couple of $100,000 worth of race car, no problem.
Yeah, where's the issue here?
We're still waiting to see, obviously, how this is all going to play out and whether what happens. Obviously, the race preemptively finished due to, let's say, rain.
Let's say rain.
Let's
kind
say
of flooded
rain.
The track.
It flooded the track, and there was a red flag, and things stopped. We're just waiting for to see what's happening. Let's have a look at some replays from that race.
That was the start of the main race. 45 minutes actually on the clock, and we had the top 8 reversed. You saw it there. Luke Whitehead in 8th, Niklas Hubin in 7th. It was more eventful than the sprint race start, especially at the front. We saw them not being really capable of holding onto that position, and that kind of bunched everyone up in the back. You see that here. Long line at the front, like very long way around, that got Pogardel and squeezed there with the blue and yellow Super Trofeo EVO2 there, who then dropped out of the top 10 very early on, and all that water spray obviously making it even harder. And then this launch into turn 2. That got a bit of damage and sent one of the drivers sideways. This is how bad the view actually is.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Martin Hoyer obviously picked up the penalty. This was squeezing through Luke Whitehead. That's how he got past. That was Hubon just behind. You can see that's Gabor Sarosi. I think he was passing as well. So that's where Luke Whitehead was sort of managing to get past, and obviously Fornes as well. But this is the cuts coming through, and you can see, oh man, picking your line on this track. You can see so many puddles in there. So you can see, yeah, there you go. You could just see he tried to make that correction, felt that little slide on the back, which is what put him off track.
Yeah, it's like getting in kind of an off track, because at that moment for a driver, you weren't really cutting the track.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you tried to keep the momentum going, kind of. Or shooting too far. And that didn't pay off for him here. Let's be real. It cost him the race. It absolutely ruined his main race. Drive through on a 45-minute race with only one pit stop. Not much chance for him to make it back within top 5, I would say. And for this, at least the overall win on this track is probably gone. If we keep going with whatever we have now and not redoing the race due to the weather and the red flag that we just had. But he can still make up for that in Misano, because that's the track we go next.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see whether they go full points or half points or what happens. Obviously, like you say, they're only 8 minutes from the end of a 45-minute race, so it's not like they'd only just done a little bit of the race. They were nearly finished, and most of the positions were already pretty much fixed, because there was 1, 2, 3, 4 second gaps across the field. Other than, I would say, the top 2, which in their aspect, it does not matter, because they were already pretty much qualified through to the final. It's not like it's in the final, right? If this was the final, it'd be a big issue, but in a group stage, I think it's acceptable to go through. It's interesting little conversations between obviously Gabor Sarosi, who was in 4th, and Ivan Fornes was running in 3rd, and they were saying what a great battle I've been having, and Fornes literally just said, it's like it got to the point where he stopped looking in his mirror, because obviously mentally you're sort of in a battle yourself. You have to focus on what you're doing. As much as you could sit and look and defending, you're going to start making mistakes when you do that. So obviously, interesting from a race perspective. Where would you see that? I mean, obviously you want to see if the guy is about to make a move on you, but if you're constantly doing that, you're just going to make mistakes yourself, surely.
I mean, as always, it's like there's two ways of handling it, right? Getting forced into mistakes is never good. Trying to ignore it is a nice way, but if you ignore someone on the back of you, then one day you might open the door, not seeing a car slipping through, and then you're in real trouble. So I'm just really sad right now because I was waiting for Bonsignore against Hubin. And I'm still waiting for race control to tell us, like, is that it? Are we done with the Hungaroring? Are we going there again and can we do a 5-minute sprint race? It's like a 2-lap race for the overall win.
So chances are, it looks like they're going to go with 75% of the points across, since 75% of the race done, which actually I think is probably fair. It was about 75% of the race, so I think in terms of points coming across of everyone involved, I think that's pretty much a fair deal. We also have Misano, let's not forget.
It's like, if I heard correctly from race control, we will count this race 75% of the points.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I just said.
I was still trying to what you said and what they said while you were talking.
I read it. I read it before production told us. I already read what the outcome was. I was just waiting for you to finish. Yeah.
Smart.
Yes. There you go.
I had to listen to what they taught me in my ear. Okay, 75%. That's fair. I would say. Like I said, it's very unlikely that much would have changed. 8 minutes. Hubin probably would have won. That's my take. I'm brave now. I say Nicholas Hubin.
That's pretty big. I think Bonsignore had that. I mean, yes, he was under pressure, but I think he kind of got it. I mean, there was 8 minutes to go. I would be very surprised if Hubin had made a rash overtake. Let's put it that way. He's a very experienced driver. I'd be very surprised if he would risk it. He'd obviously already spin, especially in terms of cuts. That could have been the big thing. I think that was the main one for me. The tallying up of cuts could have affected. We already saw a couple of drivers starting to run a little wide, let's say. And we already saw, obviously, from Whitehead's perspective, it cost him. I don't think Whitehead would have caught anyone else. I mean, he maybe would have got one more place and gone to 11th, but I don't think that really makes a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
It's like he's sitting well within the top 10, top 15, obviously, to qualify for the grand final. Currently in second before the sprint race, 51 points. So would that change anything for him? No, it wouldn't. So I think that's absolutely fair. Fine. So we will, with that, actually conclude the Hungaroring trip of today's EMEA's race, but we will have another second race coming up, which is Misano. Another 18 minutes, another 50 minutes of racing, another 45 minutes sprint race coming your way with Lamborghini, the real race, just after a short break. back from a short break for Lamborghini The Real Race. We just had a red flag at the Hungaroring. 75% of points were given out to our drivers, and with that we concluded the Hungaroring, heading over to Misano Lee as our second track of today. And since we kind of skipped the battle of either Ruben, Whitehead, or Bonsignori winning, I have big anticipation for this one here.
You think it's going to be the same again? I mean, I don't know. Well, obviously, we don't know what's happening qualifying in terms of like who's starting out on the front there. But Bonsignori, obviously, big win for him. But the undercut from Hubon was fantastic. It clearly worked out. He took it very early on. There was at least 35 minutes still of the race to go. So clearly paid off for him, making the gamble and basically hot lapping is what he did. He got fastest lap multiple times to make up such a huge gap.
But do you
think, come out with him right behind him?
Do you think he would have had a chance to overtake Luke Whitehead in terms of on the track? Because
if Whitehead hadn't got the drive-through, I don't think so. And actually, an even more important question: if Whitehead hadn't got that drive-through, I think Bonsignori would have come out almost side by side with Whitehead. I think they would have been riding with each other, because obviously he came in just as Bonsignori had already gone in the pits.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance for that. It's like a bit sad that it didn't happen. I mean, it didn't happen to so many factors, right? We just heard it. It was Whitehead who also got a drive-through penalty. I can see Misano currently, and at least right now in the session, there's no rain. By now, I have to say, I would love to see a dry race again, or a race where it starts raining later on and then it goes dry again. Something like that. But I think that we will actually get a dry race this time. What we definitely get are questions from you out there in the community, in the audience. Watching Lamborghini The Real Race, you had the chance to ask us a question on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Kind of, even if you meet Lee in Cologne on the streets, you could have asked him something. And we brought some of these questions here to today's show for us to answer. Let's see what there is for us, Lee. First one is actually Introvert Gamer 77. How to start a racing career?
Well, I would say this is probably better for you to answer, but obviously, certainly now there is a lot of avenues. I mean, if you were to look at, say, James Bardolph, James Baldwin.
Bardolph also does some racing back
He
now,
actually is doing it now. But yeah, if you looked at, say, James Baldwin, obviously he started out, way back, used to be into Forza, then obviously in Project Cars 2, and then sort of developed his skills there, and now obviously the SRO world champion multiple times now. And obviously took part in Spa 24 Hours, and obviously that sort of route. You have the traditional route, which is what a lot of the drivers, if we're talking like esports drivers or actual real drivers, even still a lot of the drivers do the same thing, and that is obviously go-karting and through that way, and then you sort of go through. But honestly, there's a lot of races out there. Chen Bullock Barcia, I can see in F2 right now, obviously came through as a sim racer, so multiple paths are open to you. Ultimately, a lot of it's down to sponsorship. Can you get it?
Definitely true. Let's get to the next one. Although I want to say, if you're good at sim racing, make the money there to then go racing.
Yeah.
There's way less money burning in sim racing than in real life. What is the record on the Nürburgring?
Well, this one's for you.
What are we talking about? Are we talking Nürburgring GP in sim? Are we talking Nürburgring GP in real?
We're talking about the Nordschleife, I would say, maybe.
Nordschleife, probably my best lap ever. Not time-wise, but time-wise compared to what I was putting into it, was a 7:30 at Bridge to Gentry, was in the race lap, in tourist driving, while talking to a friend, because he just bought a brand new Porsche Cayman GT4, came with that to the ring, gave me the key, and was like, show me what the car's capable of. We were talking to each other, having really a relaxed chat. I wasn't sweating, I wasn't try-harding the best out of it, and then he looked at the clock and was like, do you know what you just did? And I was like, no, it can't be that fast. We were talking the entire time and it wasn't concentrating. It was the first lap to just chill. And he was like 7:30. So I would say that was my best lap so far. I never had a relaxed lap like this in a 7:30. So I think that was the best one so far. Quickest lap time ever. Bit faster than that, actually, in a GT3 RS. Never got a Super Trofeo yet to try. So
one day, when you become the manager of the team, you obviously get that chance.
You think so? Yeah, you become we have to talk to the manager now of the Lamborghini eSports team if he actually gets the next one. But let's get actually into part of the racing and part of the action which is Misano. So let's have a look at the new track.
I hope you guys enjoyed race 1 at Hungaroring as much as I did. Well, here's a lap guide for race 2 at Misano. As we approach turn 1, you brake at the 50-meter mark, taking the curve on the right as well as the left, and shortening the track as much as possible. This is very key at Misano. You really want to shorten the track and use all the track as much as possible, so you don't scrap as much speed. Use the curve on the right, as well as again waiting for the car. Get off the gas a little bit so you get a straight line exit onto the straight. This is probably going to be a straight where you're going to see quite a few overtaking opportunities because the ST EVO is extremely difficult to get the rotation every time. So if the guys haven't nailed the setups, it's going to be really interesting to see how that transpires. But yeah, using all the track as much as possible, keeping it to the left, braking in a straight line, or the right, getting into the apex, and a straight line exit getting on the power early. This is very key because the straight's very long, so you always want to maximize the exits onto a long straight. Also cutting the track again, using all the track as much as possible. And what's key is when you approach this corner, you want to try make sure your car's angled into it when you brake. As the ST's quite an understeery car, and depending on the setup, it's very hard to brake and turn at the same time. So you want the car to be very, very stable on the entries. Otherwise, the car is very oversteery. And again, last corner, taking the curve on the left and getting a straight line exit to the end of the lap. That's a lap guide with myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy the race coming up.
It's great to see what I was talking previously about. It's like, some of these corners, you basically go through a slight corner while braking, and that together with fighting someone, that creates a whole different story in terms of how stable the rear is. It might start dancing a bit, right? It's like, could be on the bump and going left and right. Actually, sometimes it can be up to a meter. They're dancing left and right on the brakes. So, once again, 16 turns though. Is it really exactly 16? Because 16 is also what Hungaroring throws at drivers.
I would double check that. I think it is though. I think it's something like that. I mean, that's what most circuits are aiming at. Yeah, it is. It's only 16 turns exactly.
Interesting. What's also the same is that Luke Whitehead leads in front of Nicholas Hubin, so pole position to Whitehead once again. Same in the sprint race for the Hungaroring. Hubin second. Amato Bonsignore in the second row, third and fourth. Barnett in sixth, right behind Pogacar. Pogacar, who was squeezed in the previous race start, wants to make up for that. Fornes and Dinner. Fornes on the orange car, Dinner on the red and black Lamborghini. Then Kunin and Amchik for the top 10.
So, as we did point out, you know, it really depended on the grid. Obviously, qualifying was yesterday, was when these guys do the qualifying session to come into this. And then, obviously, we move this 15-minute sprint race into the 45-minute main race based on the grid positions from that race. So, finishing strong and finishing safe is very important in the sprint race. Obviously, you want to be looking at points as well. 75% points were from the previous race, but we are about to get into the action here. And we'll see how Luke Whitehead handles Hubon this time out. Waiting for the green light. There it is. And we're underway at Misano. And we'll see whether Luke Whitehead can battle once again. But it's Hubon on the outside. He's going to have to go out the marbles, then cut in. And Whitehead does manage to hold his line. He's looking pretty clean further back. I'm jostling and seeing from this rear wing whether there's any other connections, but this time it is a wide run. I think that was Fornes actually that went really wide. Tell a lie, it was Attila Diner that was out on the marbles there, went very wide. Fornes actually benefits from it, moves up into 5th position, and that is also Diner that's took a connection there, come a little bit too tight, and in the end it's cost him dearly. He moves down to 11th place.
Oh, that was quite shaky, I would say. Several contacts in the back of the pack, and that probably to a bit of damage. Dino once again diving in there, pushing Kuhn away. I think that should have been Kuhn in black and orange car. At the beginning, I have to say, Hubin just not in the lead because he played it safe. He played it super safe. There was enough space for him, enough of a drive to take down Luke Whitehead, but he didn't. He didn't want to close the gap. He didn't want to risk anything with Whitehead on the inside. And that is why Niklas Huben, the 24-year-old German, I think, against Luke Whitehead, who's 18 years young, fighting for the win here. But yeah, that was quite crucial, seeing Huben actually staying back, kinda, instead of trying to go for the early lead and probably winning this race here in the sprint.
Drive-through penalty coming out for Heikki Oitonen already in 15th. By the way, Grieg is down in 16th. What a difference that is as well. So I think that's... did he jump start? He's got to have jump started, right? Something like that. It's got to be either starting ahead of the person you're alongside, something like that, as the race got underway. Anyway, my point that I wanted to get to was the fact that there is already a 1.5 second gap forming between the top 3 and Barnett, who's holding in 4th position at the moment, but he's got Evan Fornes right up behind him.
Yeah, you really see the difference between the top 3 and the rest of the pack, kind of, here once again in Misano. And Bonsignore, he can kind of stay within a second at least to Niklas Huben. Huben, as I said, might just not be super aggressive. He got this in the back. He will move on to the grand final. So he might not attack Luke Whitehead, who also is in the grand final for sure. But might be a bit more lusting for the wins here as the younger driver.
Well, also the fact that he was, 13th in the previous race as well after being second. Picking up that drive-through penalty definitely going to hurt him. Further down the grid, you can see them all jostling for position. A couple are just peeking out there. Further down, Patricia Adamczyk just having a little peek. I think it's Pagardl as well behind. Oh, who's that diving up the inside on? I think that's Kumpo. Is that Kumpo diving up there? No, it's Kumpo's getting Martin Hoyer that's having a look at him as Pagardl's just ahead of him. So it was Hoyer who's alongside him is Adamu. Adamu should be able to get this done here on the inside. We'll have the inside line once again on the 16th final corner. The undercut comes back through for Martin Hoyer, so making use of it, seeing if he can get that cut through. It will swing round to the left and then the right is how these guys are going to try and work it. So swing around, and they have to go on the right, and it swings around. And it's a very technical first part of the track here. It's not like your normal big long straight into a sharp corner, which you get in a lot of tracks. It's a very technical sweeping section early on here. Sort of a lot of second, third, fourth gear corners.
Yeah, it's all about keeping the momentum of the car going. Talking about keeping it going, Leonardo Grieges with the pressure here. Not the race I was expecting. A lot stronger at the Hungaroring. Currently nearly dead last here. Did something happen to him at the start? No, he started 13th, right? So he lost a few positions, but not too many. Seems like that's just not his track. Well, Fornes has to fight off Kuhn right behind. There's a bit of a touch here and there, but was able to remain within the top 5 right now. Kuhn obviously pushing for that. Top 5 finish. We want to have that in the statistics. Can he launch it up the next one? Look at all these. It's a constant corner on this track. The track is always going somewhere. Left and right. Never really straight.
This is, if I remember rightly, when we did Misano last time, this was the track that Jordan Sherritt had. Always did the, which corner was it? It was the big sweeping one. I think, was it 3? No. It was near the back. It was like turn 13 or 12 or 13. He always did it in a different gear from everyone else, I remember. And I was almost checking in the video, and he actually did it like everybody else in that video. But I remember in the race, particularly because obviously I'd been practicing on this circuit because I knew we were driving it. Me and Marcelo were going to drive it, going through it in 5th, and then he went through it in 4th, like a high rev 4th at the time. So I was trying to keep my eye on what some of these guys were doing as they went around there, because obviously it's the idea is, as you were talking about earlier, you got to do a little bit of trail braking quite part throughout this one, and then you got to sort of hard on the brakes into turn 14 it is, as you try and squeeze them around, trying to see what some of these guys are doing. Different routes, different lines that they may take, because there is quite a few lines in and around that section, because it is such a, it's almost, I mean, it's not a straight, but it's sweeping bends. It's not like you're struggling around there. They're coming round them right now. These are fast corners that you sort of sweep on round and try and get your position.
Yeah, it is an interesting track, and as I say, it will be mostly come down to how good you are in the braking sections here, due to never really getting a straight line onto a braking point or braking zone. So 15 seconds for Fornes. Is that... Oh, Adamu as well, 15 seconds. Is that all for the starting incident?
That's got to be contact, surely. If it's 15 seconds, that's got to be contact at some point, I would say. That's unfortunate for Fornes. Obviously, in 5th place, a 15-second penalty. You know, in a 15-minute race, you're not going to build up that big of a gap. And certainly looking behind him, there really isn't that big of a gap. Obviously, he's got Kun and Mato also very much on his tail. So that 15 seconds is going to hurt a lot. For someone like Fornes that could do with the points as well, that's going to be tricky.
Yeah, it does, and it's just 8 minutes left in the sprint race. It's a very short race. It's all or nothing in terms of pace. So coming back from 15 seconds, not really doable. Luke Whitehead still in the lead. Nicholas Hubin keeping the same distance though. So it's definitely not that he can't go the pace of Whitehead. And he might even do the overtaking now. I'm kind of surprised. I think Luke Whitehead left the door wide open there. Invited Nicholas Hubin in. Nicholas Hubin couldn't manage to get through there though. But that was more like a garage door. That was more than than the usual door of a house, I would say, size-wise.
It was a big door, is what you're saying. He left a big door for him. But yeah, didn't quite take it. But he's
that was the door to Mordor, man. That was the door to
Mordor. It didn't go to Narnia, it went to Mordor.
He could have brought an entire army of 300,000 people in it.
Even more door than Mordor. The production, dad jokes are coming through right now. This is how bad it is. But either way, 7 minutes of racing action still to go. And Evan Fornes, with that 15-second penalty, is going to cost him. It's going to send him reeling all the way down now. Heikki Hoitonen obviously is a long way back with that drive-through penalty, which hurt him, which does mean obviously more points up for grab for someone like Kuhn, who was not at the first track, didn't take part. So obviously for him, he needs all the points he can get here to try and get himself back up there. At the start of the day, he had 14 points, so he needs to benefit as much as he can, and to gain up to 5th, and maybe, well, I don't think he's going to get 4th, but he's definitely going to get 5th, is pretty good for him.
Yeah, he definitely needs a point to stay within the top 15. He was before today, he was on 12th, so it would have been enough, but there was obviously 2 races now that he didn't attempt. He needs those points as set. That is...
This is Fornes.
Yeah, Ivan Fornes. Shot. Oh, okay. All of that looks still fine to me. Oh, and then he taps.
Oh, double shunt.
Yeah. That was Pogacar again, right? It's always Pogacar kind of.
Pogacar, bless him.
Yeah, it's like he's not lucky when it comes to starts in Lamborghini the real race, that's for sure.
Oh, did he tap there as well? I think he tapped there. I think there was a second tap.
Quite a few.
Yeah, so that explains. I remember we were seeing. Who was it that got punted earlier? Was it Grigis? I think it was Grigis that got sent earlier as well. But yeah, so Pogacar as well. P5. Let's have a look. Fornes has potentially lost his position here. Kuhn is the man that's trying. He doesn't really need to fight him, in all honesty. I mean, other than the fact that he needs to be careful about Amato up behind him, but got to be careful he doesn't risk it, knowing full well the driver in front already has that 15-second penalty. Yeah,
but it's also, if he backs you up 15 seconds,
yeah.
then you also lost them, right? Because we know that Fornes doesn't have to take them now. It's not like he goes into the pits.
No, this is after race, yeah.
Yeah, it is after race, or it is during the pit stop.
But there's no pit stop.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to do anything.
So, well, I mean, his biggest worry is that Amato and Dino catch him and take him. Oh, hello, Adamu. That's sweeping through. I think that was Martin Hoyer that went wide there. Maybe, or was it Kumpo that swung out wide? Kumpo is just ahead of him, so Adamu has managed to get past Hoyer. So nice work from him, despite the fact he has that 15-second penalty. Oh, speaking of, there's another one for Dino. Wait, Adamu's got removed and Dyna's got put on, so that's the admin correcting a decision from earlier on. I was going to say, I'm sure Adamu was one of the drivers that was double shunted in there when I saw it earlier on. So I guess Dyna was the man that's unfortunately has paid the price.
Yeah, it's like we saw that Dyna was, let's say, very optimistic in some of his launches, and there were several contexts, at least around him. I didn't look into the incident, so I don't want to say he's guilty or not, but there's definitely a chance that it is correct, because we saw him tapping cars multiple times during the start phase.
Just saw some cuts once again from Whitehead. He's got to be careful. Cost him in the previous race, and obviously in the 15-minute, generally you won't going to do too many cuts. Luke Whitehead, by the way, with fastest lap. Not surprising, he is at the front of the race. 1:34.707 for those that are taking part and keeping their eye on this. I know there are quite a few that are keeping their eye on it, because I saw there's some from the Nala region and obviously the APAC region are going to be looking at this and seeing who's doing well. Grigis and Adamu still fighting. Grigis has just took Adamu a moment ago. Trying to outbrake him. Grigis taking a nice racing line there rather than trying to go for the fastest line, but he has gone very wide. Because of it, didn't get his braking set, and Adamu will go back through.
Yeah, it's like obviously overshooting costs you a lot of time here, and it's all the momentum you lose, because see how quick all of those corners are. Talking all quick, can't be quick enough for Kuhn. Still wants to pass corners and stop losing time because everyone else is catching up.
He's got him. Beautiful move. Well done there. Managed to finally get through. The pressure eventually paying off, so Kuhn could get through and try and get more points on the board. I mean, he was going to get them anyway because of the 15-second timer, but now it's on Amato to see whether he can get it done. 2 minutes left. That equates to roughly 1, maybe 2 laps, depending. Oh, that was connection behind. I think that was Dyna and Amato just behind, side by side. They're going to be coming into this next corner for this. Oh, I thought he was about to miss his braking point and collect straight up the backside of Kuhn there, but Kuhn luckily gets away with it.
Yeah, it's like Kuhn will be happy now. There might be his chance still. Not with 149. I was wondering if he might catch up to Bonnard, but not gonna happen. I would say. So that should be fine. Whitehead is looking for another win tonight. His second after winning the sprint race in at the Hungaroring as well. Huben gets, what is that now? His third second position. After tonight.
Third second of the day, absolutely. You can see, I mean, that's how Whitehead did so well in the points last week. He was consistent, always managing to stay up there. Apologies if you do hear any squeaks. My dog's having a great time rolling around with her legs in the air with a squeaky toy. I can't deny a dog having fun like that. But either way, final lap about to come up here. It is going to be Whitehead that will go over the line. He's like 1:34 the time, so we still have time for one more lap. The penultimate just about to be concluded. Battles further down. Looks like most of them have set themselves out, so I'm keeping my eye on it to see if anything else happens. But at the moment, these two, the leading pack, and they have been all day long. You can see the gigantic gap formed between themselves and Bonsignori, who's in third place. He himself has a 3-second gap, so let's just take a nice lap with the guys.
Yeah, it's like we'll definitely get another one in, and Horn is not getting the drive-through.
Oh, drive-through.
He got a drive-through penalty edit as well. Tough race for him, I would say. It looked good on the track. Not in terms of penalties, though. Niklas Huben still following Luke Whitehead closely, hoping for Whitehead to basically get another cut in, I would say. Because it's what happened in Hungaroring. Where Huben got the upper hand, and Luke was due to Luke getting a drive-through penalty for cutting, but I think it's very unlikely to see in a 15-minute sprint race. But we will have Luke Whitehead once again starting in 8th in the main race, with Niklas Huben right next to him in 7th, and then the pole position will go to the unluckiest driver so far of today's race day, which is Pogacar, because he had been unlucky several times by now.
Well, at least he's in top 10. At least he's in top 10 this time. But yeah, he is the man that gets targeted at the start of races, it seems. Bless him. We'll see whether maybe he can gain some ground now. Obviously, as I say, he's going to be starting on pole position, so a real chance. But unfortunately, also makes him the target.
Yeah, so he will start first. I'm not sure if that makes his life any easier. That's for sure. Coming around the last corner, if I'm not mistaken. And checkered flag for Luke Whitehead. Another impressive win, doing a great job there. I would still say, though, this was down to Niklas Huben stepping back in turn 1. Really making it super simple for Whitehead to stay in the lead.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously he led from the start, so a strong race from him. However, Huben kept him in check. It's I would say a sign of things to come for the next race. Obviously, 45 minutes, we saw how once Huben got clear air, he definitely could make it work, but he was stuck under the rear wing of Whitehead throughout that. Definitely, it's going to be a pressure race, I think, for Whitehead, if anything. But he will be starting, obviously, down in 8th place, so we'll see whether they can make something work. He did get past Huben at the start of Hungaroring, which is how he managed to work his way past him there. So definitely going to be interesting to see how it pays off. Of course, for Pagardl, starting out on pole position. For him, he just needs to simply avoid contact and hope that who's going to be alongside him? Amato will be alongside him. Hope that he doesn't get caught, or Diner up behind him. Actually, will Diner be up behind him? I don't think he will. No, I think Pagardl has actually moved up to 7th. I think it's a Damchik that's going to be starting on pole because of those 15-second penalties.
True, it was the 15 seconds that I forgot about. Also, by the way, number 12, which was Gregor's, he got a final warning for weaving on the straight. That's an interesting one. Didn't saw that for a while. Especially in a race like this.
Multiple defensive moves, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, will be very interesting now that we go a bit longer. And 45 minutes plus his pit stop. So once again, we'll have to talk about undercut, overcut in terms of strategy. And let's see if Niklas Huben does one of the moves again and actually get the best strategy in place to regain the lead. But he will start next to his arch enemy. That is Luke Whitehead. We will see the last race of the group stage, at least for EMEA. Obviously, there's more racing to come. Lamborghini, the real race, is next Sunday, and then the Sunday after, where we cover APAC and NALA region. So way more racing still to come. We're not at the end yet, but we will at least know the first 15 drivers that will go through the grand final here for the EMEA region right after the 45 main race that's come after the break. See you there. EMEA party on Lamborghini The Real Race 2022. We already had 3 races. They're in the books, done and dusted. But we're heading over to Misano for the very last feature race. 45 minutes with the top 8 reversed after the sprint race that we just saw. And Lee, we have to talk about a very important topic before diving into the next race, and that is the picked up penalties by cutting. Because with a longer race, there could be even more.
Yeah, we didn't quite get to see it come out in fruition in Hungaroring, which I suspect we may have had a few more. I think some people would have breathed a sigh of relief, realizing they probably had one more cut left before they were getting penalties. But it wasn't to be. However, here at Misano, I would say it's even more of a chance, because it is a very technical, tight circuit, especially at the start. The first opening sections, obviously a lot of corners. I mean, there's 16 corners throughout the track, but a lot of corners, tight corners at the start. Unlike, as I say, like your traditional track, so it's a long straight into a sharp corner and then away you go. This is almost a sweeping S section, almost a double S, I would say, I guess, section. Together in the first 6 corners before you even get into another straight. So it's definitely a tricky circuit, especially as we saw throughout in the sprint race. If you're racing alongside, there is a lot of overtaking opportunities, but you need to be very careful about cuts.
Yeah, talking about being careful about cuts, we actually picked up a scene from the previous sprint race as a short replay where a driver actually picked up 2 cuts at the same time. So this should be Ivan Fornes, because he went from 15 seconds.
Oh, that was unfortunate. That was just losing
1.
the side, yeah.
But that it seems like game counts that as 2. And I wonder if it's because he basically goes
when off came on, went off,
or it was because it goes from one sector to the other.
Yeah.
And then the game is like, oh, you caught 2 sectors. Could be that. It's just an
That's
interesting
harsh. That's harsh, yeah. If that's the case.
It's like
that's after turn 3, wasn't it? That was, I think.
And it's like it's great that race director picked up on that and brought us this replay so we can show it to our audience out there. But yeah, it will be interesting, because if you pick up 2 there, and I know that often in these races you go to the maximum of cuts, right? Because sometimes you need that cut because you want to overtake someone or whatsoever, and then people are a bit loose with the rules. If you pick up 2 there, well, you only have 1 left, then all of a sudden you're in deep trouble.
I'm trying to think whether that was the exit of turn 3. No, I think it was 5, because it was a tighter corner than 3. 3 is like quite a sweeping sort of. That's a sweeping corner, by the way. But 5 is a bit more tighter, and it looked like a more of a tighter corner. Then you go into the left-hander at 6. Yeah, I think that's where it was. But yeah, that's harsh. If that was like a double cut because he lost it at the exact moment where the sector changes, that's very harsh.
It will be interesting to see for sure, and I think we get another dry race. And Misano.
Yes,
it's for us.
At least going by what we see in practice right now, it's dry. There's 0 wind as well, which is even also good, because wind can play a factor. It's not that much of not too many elevations within this track, as you would in, say, I don't know, like a Spa or something like that. But yes, it should be an interesting one. We'll see how it works out. Of course, as we pointed out, Adamczyk will be starting out on pole, so she'll have Pagardl alongside her, Amata, Kuhn, and so forth. And what we're looking at mainly is obviously the battle between Hubon and Whitehead. That's where our focus is.
Let's see. We'll actually get into the session, I would say, in just a few seconds as the drivers are lined up. Pole position for Adamczyk.
Yeah, Pagardl alongside, as you pointed out, Amato, Kuhn, Barnat, and then Bonsignori. He is ahead of Hubon and Whitehead to start with here. That's probably vital for them. Down the Flying Finn, Kumpo, with Martin Hoyer alongside him. Adamu also down there. Grigis, Sarusi, and then, of course, Dinah, Heikki Hoitonen, and Ivan Fornes towards the back there. It's a shame for Fornes, because obviously he picked up that drive-through penalty, puts him at the back there. Also puts him, I would say, out of position. We know he's a driver that was running in 3rd place at the Hungaroring, was running in 5th place before he picked up that drive-through penalty here in the sprint race as well. But starting from the back, we'll see what he can do as the cars get underway running.
Yeah, we get underway for the last group stage race for the EMEA region. Whenever you're not in the top 15 after this one, your dream like becoming an esports sim driver for Lamborghini is out of the window, as Adamczyk will open the race here for 45 minutes at Misano. Pogacar, great start there. I think Pogacar for once looks good at the first turn as he takes the lead here. Runs way too wide though. Oh, I see overshooting the corner. Yes, he did. Bernard trying to squeeze around there. It's very messy right now. And we see that Kuhn tries to follow through there as well. Pogacar had to slot behind Adamczyk. Once again, Luke Whitehead and Hubin. I think they did not really move at all, while Hubin now makes a move on Luke Whitehead. Can he make it happen early in this race? Because that would be the first time of him leading Luke Whitehead in a battle today. But look at that, 3 wide. There you go, and they're not stopping now. Bonsignor is also in this. The 3 leading in points, battling it out on the very first corners.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to see. We know they're going to put the pressure in, but it's Whitehead that gets ahead of Hubon. He's got Bonsignori. He's going up the inside. He's trying to make the move stick early on. That was a very nice move on him. Barnett out the way. Bonsignori is still just ahead of him, you can see. So they're all slotting themselves up. So Bonsignori already up to 4th there. Adamczyk does hold on to the lead, by the way. Adamczyk, Pogacar and Amato. But Bonsignori, Whitehead, Campo getting in front of Hubon at the moment. So Hubon's actually back down in 8th. So while Whitehead's shifted his way up into 5th place, Hubon has fallen behind.
Yeah, Hubin once again is like not as successful. We're just going through the grid like Whitehead is. He's blessed when it comes to that, it seems. Like he's always creating opportunities for himself. Like if this would be the NBA, we would say he's a shot creator. Like he's always doing something that allows him to go for an overtake. And Nicholas Hubin is struggling way more, although he's getting Campo now.
Yeah, he's got Campo back, but only just. Meanwhile, Bonsignori putting pressure onto Amato as well. And you can see Luke Whitehead's already on his back and having a little look around the outside there. Luke Whitehead, let's see when he can get it done. It will be a left-hander at the moment, which is why they were trying to position his car there, but he's not going to happen. Bonsignori cuts him out pretty early there, but Whitehead already throwing the position down. Now, if you think back to the sprint race we just had, Whitehead and Hubon had already built up a 3-second gap over Bonsignori. Is that Hubon just made the dive behind? Yes, it was. Hubon makes it work. He gets in past Barnett and Campo, so it's working out well for him now. Yeah,
it seems like he was listening to my words and now wants to prove me wrong, kinda. In the main race, as he's chasing down Luke Whitehead. That was close. That opens the door. Nicholas Hubin on the inside there for Campo to get involved as well. My goodness me, look at this fighting group here. Nicholas Hubin right at the center of it. Barnett at front, Campo behind. Now going into a heartbreaking zone after the King. While Luke Whitehead is already on the run for Bonsignore. Bonsignore, by the way, was leading in points before we had it to may have lost the name of the track. To Misano.
Hungaroring.
No, Misano. Before we headed over to Misano, Bonsignore was leading in terms of points, right in front of Hubin, and then Luke Whitehead. So they are the big 3 fighting. Robert Pogacar still second, after I thought he was through in the first few seconds of the race.
This is the chance for Pogacar, actually, and he looks like he's going to get the inside of Patricia Adamczyk there. So Pogacar, who has been the target man, effectively, for everybody in the first 3 races, was punted in the sprint, punted in the main race, and again he was collected in that sprint race a moment ago. Yeah, he's finally managed to get his chance, so now he goes into the lead on the second lap here. Bonsignori, he's got Whitehead. Oh, what's happened? Oh no, that's Pogacar and Adamczyk connected in the lead there. That puts Amato through into the lead, but disaster for the leading pack. But great news for the likes of Whitehead for Hubon. Oh, that's going to be another connection there. I think that wasn't Hubon. It was further back, but oh no, Adamczyk's been spun again further down. That sends her reeling. Pogacar down to 13th place. Make that 14th. An absolute disaster for the leading pack, down now in 14th and 15th. Don't know what happened there. We'll have to try and get a replay on exactly who was at fault, because that is a nightmare for them. Hubon, though, slides his way up into 3rd place, and a massive move for them. Who was the man that got caught out? Bonsignori. Bonsignori down to 10th place.
This is heartbreaking. I mean, for
Whitehead
a
in
few
the lead.
minutes, I really thought this could be Pogadel's chance to finally get lucky and show his skill, but what happened there?
Sent sideways. Fine sent sideways as well in the final corner.
And that's
Turn
Pogadel's
16.
catching again. No, it was Kuhn. That was Kuhn. All right, it wasn't Pogadel at least.
Wow, there's a lots to decompress in that lap for the admins. let's put it that way. Race controller got a lot of work to do. There was so many connections. But what's the shake of it all? It is that Luke Whitehead's got himself in the lead. Amato in second. Hubon up into third. And we're going to have some replays to see what the hell just went wrong.
Incredible. It's like
So that's Adamczyk connects Pogadel, and that's why Amato goes through.
How did Pogadel pass? Like when?
Oh, Pogadel had already taken it. I showed Pogadel taking over. He got past
True.
Adamczyk. Yeah.
That wasn't Kuhn. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I feel so sorry for Pogadel. That's 4 out of 4. He's been punted.
My
God.
It's really bad. I mean, how can you be even in the lead now and then get punted out of the race like this? Long shot, basically, by Adamczyk. So that was like really dived down, and it was Pogadel once again paying the price for it. Not last though yet. Still, harsh world for Pogadel today.
Yeah, it's definitely one to forget. I think it's safe to say, and then like none of it's his fault. It's like one of those moments, one of those days. You're just like, well, okay, that's great. That's happened. I hope it doesn't mean he misses out on the finals, because it's definitely, like I say, none of it's been his fault. Heike Hoyton has just got past the Damu further down the field, but Kumpo up into 5th place. Barnett all benefiting from this, by the way, along with Hoya, Grigis. But yeah, I think we're probably going to see quite a few penalties coming through. It looks like Hubon has just got past Amato at last, so he's got to be careful he doesn't bite back at him on the inside here. Amato is certainly having a look at it, and will have another look. Should be able to switch back. Hubon will have the better drive on the exit. It's all about slowing down and coming out fast on the corner, not fast into the corner. It will catch you off guard, especially if there's a decent straight, and you can see that Barnett's maybe trying to go a look at Amato as well, just further behind. He might get the switch back as well, and it looks like he has.
Yeah, beautiful maneuver once again. I love that when it turns out like this, and you really have the chance to do classic switcheroo kinda. Although, all right, I thought like it would be through on the inside there once again, but nope, not gonna happen.
That looked like a punt.
Yep, that definitely was one.
I think he got away with it though. It was in a slow braking zone just before they get into the sharp first gear corner, and then they come sweeping round the final bends to start finish straight. So as it is, after all that's shaken out, it's where we expected, right? Whitehead and Hubon in the chase for the next 35 minutes.
Yeah, the good thing is that there's still a lot of time, right, to do something in this race. There's still the pit stops. So Pogadel is the only one that went for the pits, probably through damage he picked up after what just happened. But all of that can still change with strategy, because we didn't saw, for example, Hubon going in early this time, because he's also in a completely different position as last time. I have to say that.
So Kumpo and Martin Hoyer obviously benefited. Grigis also, who had a penalty in the previous race, all up in the top 10 right now. So definitely shaking things out a little bit. We've got to obviously keep our eye on how Bonsignori handles this. Obviously he was connected in there, so he's down in 9th. We know he can be very fast, so we know that he's likely to work his way back through the pack here. I expect the front two to be gone. I don't think we're probably going to see too much of those for the rest of the race. I also don't think they're probably going to overtake each other. I think that's probably going to stay as is, with Whitehead winning and Hubon second, unless anything happens within the pit window. We'll keep our eye on that. So I think the real race we should be looking at is probably, the third podium spot, which Amato currently holds, and we'll see what competitors are in there, because it's great, a bit of a spotlight, if anything, for some drivers that aren't ordinarily in this position.
Yeah, it is the big battle to watch out for, and I still want to say Hubon doing a direct fight now, but 2.5 seconds already the gap. It took him longer to go through the cars and get there where he is now. quite sure if Luke Whitehead will not just run away with it. Good pace right now. Control. Didn't do any major mistakes today so far.
No. I mean, he did have the drive-through penalty, though. Remember, that is something we talked about at the start. We
True,
had the cutter penalties can be very serious, and that's something that he needs to be careful about. He set the fastest time, the only man in the 134s so far, Luke Whitehead. Here, obviously carrying more fuel than they did in the previous sprint race, so obviously going to be a little bit slower. Lights on. I don't think it's that dark. Is it that dark? Do we need lights on? I don't know. I think it's one of those things, just like get him on there sometimes. Just flash the opposition just to frustrate. Anything to dazzle and frustrate the man in front of you.
But yeah, he's always kind of like trying to see and catch them off guard. Maybe if they look at the flash once and then do a mistake in that braking zone because they get a little bit of pressure. But on the other hand, you can't do that the entire time. Race marshal's definitely stepping in if you're flashing your lights constantly. That's for sure. So it's not a strategy that you can abuse for 45 minutes.
So Amato is the man that everyone's going to change down here. Pierluca. Yeah, Luca, I should say, not Pierluca. Oh, hello, to the diner, having a little peek there, but it's Bonsignori that goes through. So he's moved up into 8th position. Grigis next on his list.
Yeah, it's like we know obviously Diner picked up a few penalties previously, and was involved in a lot of contacts here on the track already. So hope he stays clean right now. Really cutting the curbs massively there on the entry right. Very interesting to see Bonsignore a bit more casually going over the curbs, not going over the small sausage curbs on the inside.
I mean, Dino looked like he went off there, and that looked like the same spot that we saw. Who was it? Got the penalties in the previous race. I want to see. It was Sarosi. Oh, it's Fornas. Yeah, Fornas. You're correct. And currently in 13th. So he picked up the drive-through penalties. That's what we were talking about. The double penalties picked up there. It's a bit harsh, but you've got to be really careful in those opening few corners.
Let's see how this one pan out. Nico Kumpel, I have to say though, a lot better here in Misano than what we saw at the Hungaroring. Kumpel wasn't anywhere near being the top 5 there, was he?
He was in the top 10, yeah, not the top 5. He did get, he has started on pole, I believe at Spa, I want to say. Where he finished 8th in the sprint. But yeah, the Finns always been there or thereabouts. But yeah, this is a real chance for him to maybe try and chase down and get into that podium spot. When you're talking just a second gap between them all, obviously with pit stops in there, anything can happen. If they can throw in a couple of nice fast laps when it opens up for them, they could certainly leapfrog their opponent.
Francesco Adamo looking at Hirtinen. We didn't saw a lot of action from Hirtinen this race day here in the last group phase of the EMEA region. See if we might catch some action this time. Grigis had started all the way back, 12th position, now up to 7th. So he will be quite happy with the first, now not half yet of the race, first 15 minutes nearly. So sprint race distance is covered.
Oh, nice. Is it going to be switched back? Should do. Bonsignori centered a little too hot on the brakes there. He even indicated as well. That's just like a little cheeky one to Bonsignori, I think, there for Grigis. But yeah, he needs to be careful because I think Bonsignori is coming hot and heavy to try and regain some of those points.
Yeah, Bonsignori had good runs so far on the previous 3 races, and I expect him here in the main race to also be a candidate for the top 5. That he has to overcome Grigis and then Hoyer. Hoyer's also in front. Bonsignore once again very close. Look how the car is twitching on the braking, how aggressive he was there on the brakes, and now he's kind of forcing it. And that curb is angled. That's the problem. There's banking on the inside of the curb, and that lost, the rear lost a bit of traction, not enough grip to really get the power down. And due to that, he wasn't able of really sending the car outside, and Grigis once again stays ahead.
Yeah, but Bonsignore he's really trying to force those overtakes, isn't he? Like you say, is how aggressive he's been. Let's just try and stay on board with him, because he's clearly the man that's trying to work his way through the pack. I do wonder, though, I'm just wondering, obviously, if you think back to Hungaroring, where we saw a driver out of position like Hubon, who took that early pit stop instead of sort of thinking, okay, I'm going to work through the traffic. Maybe he's just thinking, you know what, I'm going to have fun with this, rather than thinking I could go for the undercut and try and leapfrog some of these cars in front.
Yeah, so I expect if anyone wants to go for that, it's kind of the time now. Like I said, the sprint distance is done. Tyres at their best there. So they could actually just go for pit stops now, which is still a lot later than what we saw in the first main race today. But it was also due to the track, where you just kept being held back by others way more than here. I don't have the feeling that drivers chasing here lose as much time as at the Hungaroring.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I would say trail braking is probably like the biggest part of this track, right? Obviously, he's going to try and go for the switchback here. Grieg is very good at defending there, very much parked his car on the corner there, so nice defensive work from Griegis. A lot of viewing of that rear wing, bit of smoke as well from some cars thinking they can maybe cool the tyres on the grass there, I'm not sure. I think that's that's a whole different game. Actually, I want to look towards Martin Hoyer. Look like him and Compo are battling. Yes, they are. As Compo just holding on there. Compo in 5th, Hoyer in 6th. As they were battling for position. I was trying to keep my eye on what was going on with Bonsignore, but I can see that battle playing out. Let's have a quick try and cover the both.
Yeah, I mean, Bonsignore is exactly what he wants, right? Because this brings him and Grigas closer within the top 5 range. I mean, Kumpu sits on the 5th spot. So if Bonsignore can just bring this group close together and then maybe find a cool way to pass all of them in one lap, then he's done, right? For now, he would need to overtake, then run into Hoyer, which then brings Grigas back into the picture. But if he can have this as a full drivers group earlier, it might be a bit simpler for him to get through.
Grigas is really trying defensive driving. I think he's left it a little too open for Bonsignore. He's going to have a quicker exit. Grigas will do though, so he should get him on the straight. Yeah, you can see Bonsignore is just going to tuck him behind. It's always the problem, because especially you saw the line of Bonsignore. He's trying to take it, go for almost the switchback, but the problem is because you're coming into such a long straight, or almost long straight. It's curve 1, isn't it? So it's like 3 tight corners. Heikki Hoitonen turning in onto Adamu there, and Hoitonen will hold position, but a bit of car banging. That's fine. We'll accept that. But yeah, if you're trying to take that short cut line, you're obviously going to be a little slower on the power as the man sweeping around the outside. So if you're coming into a straight after that, he's just going to beat you in a drag race because he's ahead of you in horsepower.
So we get the first pit stops in. So he comes in, and we have another fight still going on. Kompu and I think it's Kompu and Hoyer still fighting, but so now everyone joined.
This has brought Grigas and Bonsignore much closer behind them, because if you were thinking they were a second behind before, but because they've been battling, look at Grigas. Grigas is right on the back of Martin Hoyer. So this is prime for Bonsignore, right? This is the prime time. They're battling. He just needs to pick his moment and see if he can squeeze on through.
Yes, this is a very interesting group now. It's like with having, I would say, the fastest driver, at least consistency-wise, at the back of it. Bonsignore, like I said, he was leading the points before we went over to Misano. So this should be a very interesting battle to watch. And I wonder if Attila Daina will also join this pack, because he's right behind. You see that there. It's the red and black car, like the black with red accents on, that comes close to Bonsignore. But Bonsignore also kind of leaves a gap now. I wonder if that... Ooh, nope. I was wondering, it's like, if it's too hot for him now and he doesn't want to get caught up in the moment. But we see Grieg is now attacking Hoyer, which probably gives Kompu a bit of breathing space. Yeah, he definitely has a few meters gained.
We just come in. This is the choice. I think Bonsignore should have done this a couple of laps before, but he's finally chosen. You know what? I've got 3 cars in front of me that are all battling. I'm getting held up by this here, because Kompo, you can see the gap starting to form between Compo and Barnett. Compo the leader of this train, 3.45 seconds. Bonsignori finally comes into pits around about the halfway mark, to be fair, so it's not like he's undercutting that big. He's just got to hope that he comes out in a fairly clean track. And speaking of penalties, stop go 30, speeding in the pits for Heikki Oitinen.
Yeah, we saw that happening on the previous group stages already, and it seems like Thai isn't any different to that. So, Oitinen in the first one to pick that up.
Oh, that's a tap. Grigis spins, full-on pit maneuver onto Martin Hoyer there. That's a penalty. Nailed on.
And I'm happy with that one. That was a good, the good fight that we just went into, and then seeing it ending like this. It's not what we were looking for. Let's see if there will probably be coming a penalty. Here's there. Let's see the speeding. Oh. I was a bit late there. Wasn't enough on the brakes for Hurtinen to make it to the white line. And the marshals, they don't know any like letting it slip. That's for sure when it comes to the white line.
It was interesting. I don't know if you obviously watched James Baldwin's his vlog he did on his Spa 24 Hours, and he was talking about the pit limiter in that. He said, like in sim racing, you can often get away with just like a 0.1 or 0.2 seconds over the line. You're okay. He said in real life, like 0.1 second, you're done. That's it. Penalty. Immediate penalty. It's like there is no leeway like you sometimes get in sim racing. It's like that is the straight cut. But yeah, it's a shame for him. Oh no! Bonsignori cutting 15-second penalty. That puts paid to any of the charge he was trying to put through, taking that early stop, as they say that. Martin Kuhn has a little bit of a tap onto Patricia Adamczyk there, but let's retain position.
Yeah, we're lucky that Adamczyk did not spin here for Kuhn, because that would have been another penalty, but it opened the door for another attack as they went side by side, and Kuhn is through. Adamczyk, by the way, started pole position in this race, now down to 10th. Shiroshi and Hoyer, the next ones that will do the pit stops.
I'm amazed we haven't seen any penalties from that maneuver. Actually, that might be a little late, but maybe it's being discussed, or maybe there was warnings for it because they hadn't been involved in too much beforehand.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we will see penalties for what happened. At least I could see that coming. But we'll figure out very soon. Who comes in? Whitehat. Leader comes into the pit. Luke Whitehat brings his car in. And Gabor Shiroshi comes out. So it's now Nicholas Huben leading the last race of the group stage for the EMEA region.
So Whitehead's pit stop was right at the end of the pits, wasn't it?
Whoever's the number one should be at the far end of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I know he went a long way down the pits, at least. That's what I could see when he was coming in there. But we'll see how that plays out for him. Everybody's starting to stack into the pits now, so Hubon, it's hot lapping time for him. Same with Amato, in fairness. Obviously got himself a nice gap to Kumpo. Kumpo's got to be the one that got to keep an eye on what's happening behind him. It was Barnett, I think it was, that was behind Kumpo, along with Grigis, so we'll see whether that works out for him as they all come through. Let's have a look towards Whitehead. So he's just coming out of the pits now. We'll keep a look for Nicholas Hubon, who will be coming around in just a second. So is he going to go in the pits? That's the question. No, he did not. So very slow stop by Whitehead, a long way down.
Yeah, not where I was expecting him.
Now I'm a little unsure. I don't think they have to change tyres, right? I think you can keep the same tyres. So maybe he chose to change tyres in there as well. Oh, look at that. Penalties coming through thick and fast now. Barnett, 15-second penalty. Alright, so Heikki Oitenen's taking that stop go as well. Patricia also
Yeah,
in
look at
there.
that.
There's another 15-second. That's on Grigis. Obviously, that was the punt we saw on him.
Yeah.
So Barnett must have had a punt in there somewhere, unless that's track cuts. Oh my God, there's another one. Eva Fornes coming through. Patricia Adamczyk. There's the 15 seconds she took earlier on, obviously, when she punted Poro Pagardel from the lead. Which still feels like it's harsh, right? Because Pagardle's down 14. He was in the lead. He got punted, and now all she gets is 15 seconds. But that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, it is what it is, and racing is tough. We all know that. Sometimes it's a split second that defines if you get penalties. But yeah, if you look at now at the leaderboard to the left of your screen, that is a lot of penalties showing up now. Luckily, Whitehead doesn't have one, Hubin doesn't have one, but Bonsignore, I was hoping for a three-way battle here for the win. Attila Dinner, he came out without penalty. Good for him, because he will probably get, he will get Barnett and Bonsignore both, if he just stays where he is. As Nicholas Hubin now has to do the, that's Fornes. Yeah, there should be a lap car on Fornes, not mistaken, but Hubin comes in. Let's see what happens now. Does Hubin remain in the lead or not?
Yeah, when he goes through, will it be enough to hold that position? So his stop comes in, and so it just leaves Amato now in the lead, along with Kumbo coming in the pits as well. So just Kuhn, also the other one to stop. 20 minutes to go in this one. Penalties start to light up the screen. Everybody picking up penalties. It was all pretty much from that one lap. I think it was like the third or fourth lap when hell broke loose and everybody was punt city left and right. So a little bit chaotic that lap. Kunduz decided to come in. So what we want to focus on is when Luke Whitehead comes around, which I think it was quite a slow stop. We were told that it was quite a slow stop. When he comes around, will he hold the lead? That is the question as he comes into the final corner.
Now let's see Luke Whitehead. Obviously, if Hubin would be in front of him, that'll be...
It's a funny exit as well, right? Because there's about 3 corners that it's sort of, if you miss the first 3 corners, you come out and turn 3.
Look how long that is. It's so... it's horrible. I mean, that happened there in a real race. It's horrible. You sit there...
He's got him.
And you want to drive quicker, and yeah, that is Whitehead being through. So Hubin still in second. Luke Whitehead still leading. But was it that close previously? Yeah, it was. So I think not much changed.
No, I don't think so either. I think they pretty much both come out about the same sort of time. Just a little bit more, if anything, because I think Hubin was kind of right on his rear, right? He's now 2-second gap, so I think he's actually lost time, if anything, Hubin there. So whether that's simply down to the undercut paying off, or whether things happen in the lap, I didn't really catch.
A 7th, that is Kumpu and Grigis currently fighting. Grigis, hard on the brakes, look at that, sending it up the inside and probably making it stick here. Yeah, no chance for Kumpu to come back on that. I love the late entry there by Grigis, who really stayed behind Kumpu as long as possible, and then probably tapped the brakes and lifted again, went to the inside, then went hard into the brakes again, and it really worked out for him. Good job there.
So Adamu takes his pit stop and comes out in, what's that, 9th place overall, is that correct? Yep, it is. So everybody but Amato has now stopped, and it's all down to him now. Grigis, great move from him on Kumpo. Now he's looking down the road, it's Attila Diner there, and Bonsignore also up into 5th place, by the way, so definitely paid off for him. And while obviously we were talking about he was one of the first to get the 15-second penalty, well, now it doesn't look so bad, does it, when everybody else has collected it around him?
The last 16 minutes approaching. And I wonder if now with still all those big rat penalties, if we will see Nicholas Hubin launch an attack on Luke Whitehead or not. Amato, only car, did not pit yet. Probably coming, I was about to say he's probably coming in now, but he isn't. Not gonna happen. Not this lap around. And with that, Leonardo Grigis, after the overtaking on Compo, is already spreading the gap quite a bit. It's 1 second nearly between him and Compo, with that launching the attack at Attila Diner, another German driver. So we basically have Hubin, Diner, and Pogačar. Kuhn, I don't know if he was German as well. Would have been like 4 or 5 German drivers.
Huben's definitely German, yeah.
No, I know that Huben is German. Huben is German, Dynan is German, and Pogačar is German. Not sure about Kuhn, to be honest, right now, but next to the British drivers probably, with Luke Whitehead, and there have been 2 others that I've reached as well. Probably strongest countries right now.
I think the other Brits are not running. It was I can't remember his name. He was running in last season. Certainly did well. Grigas though chasing down Attila Dyna. I say chasing. It's starting to spread out a bit more. Gabasarossi. It was looking great for Gabasarossi at one point. Certainly over in the Hungaroring. Definitely had a better drive here in the Misano track though. Only running in 10th position right now. These penalties with the best part of 15 minutes to go. I'm expecting some more penalties to come through from the cuts. We'll see whether it works out. Amato is finally pitting, the last man to do so. Maybe he wanted a bit of screen time leading the race, who knows. But anyway, Luke Whitehead is going to go through and he will take the lead once again. Maybe they need to learn. You don't get too much screen time with action.
I mean, they should have learned the last season from Jordan Sherrod.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think we see him at the start, and that was it, right?
Yeah, it's like sometimes we saw him crossing the line, and that's kind of it. Jordan Sherrod, basically the ninja of sim racing, and in last season of Lamborghini The Real Race, just dominant performance here in the EMEA region. Which this time around is way more mixed with Whitehead and Huben and Bonsignora, all 3 capable of winning a race. There have been people capable of winning a race, but not against Jordan Sherrod. That was kind of the problem.
Well, Amato, as expected, will drop positions. He is coming out of the pits now. Whitehead and Huben goes through. The question is, does Barnett? Because Barnett was the one he was racing against, and you can see Barnett's quite far back. He's got to go around a couple of corners. I don't think he's going to have him. Let's see. Amato still. Oh, it's so slow going down there, isn't it? He's trying his best to get around. Oh, my God. They're all going to be coming round. Bonsignori will go through. Oh, he has lost so many positions from taking it, staying out there so long. That has cost him dearly. Because he was running in 3rd for a while, and that has put him way down into 8th position.
Yeah, probably lost too much pace on the older tyres compared to the rest of the grid, and sometimes it just doesn't pay off, and that's exactly one of these moments.
Apparently he had damage repairs in there as well, which cost him 5 seconds, which actually may well be the difference if I'm looking towards the timing. I mean, that's still only possibly Campo Grigas and Bonsignore, I think, probably would have had his number anyway. But either way, the man I am impressed with is Barnett. Barnett, obviously, currently 11 seconds down on Hubon, but more importantly, has been Signori coming up behind him, but he's holding that podium position. Has got that 15-second penalty, but so is Bonsignori, so is Grigas that are up behind him. So this is a real chance for possibly Attila Dyna, if he can get close enough to maybe steal a podium here.
There might be the chance for that, to be honest. It's just so hard now to see Barnett and Bonsignore both with the 15 seconds, and it doesn't seem like the gap to Dyna is big enough, or can be big enough in just 11.5 minutes for one of them to secure the podium.
Pogačar under pressure from Kuhn. Kuhn was running in 4th place, if you remember. Pogačar was running in 1st at one point as well. So both these drivers capable, but Martin Kuhn putting a lot of pressure onto Pogačar this time around. Pogačar, the most unlucky man today for the EMEA region in terms of punts per race.
Yeah, definitely. He wasn't
maybe
the lead of this race.
It's a new factor we could put in the scoreboard. PPP, punts per race. PPR, sorry.
Yeah, it's like he wasn't lucky there. He was leading the race, and he struggled in the earlier starts. Always kind of got sandwiched, or something else happened to him, and then he was finally out there, and I thought, okay, there's no car in front of him, so what could possibly go wrong? But then it was Adamczyk kind of launched the car from the back, bit late on the brakes, and then tapped Robin Pogardl on the inside, spun him out, and fortunately now he's back fighting with Kuhn, and Kuhn presses his way through here, up to 13th, sending Pogardl down to 14th. But I would be surprised if there was absolutely no damage on Pogardl when he entered the pits. Might have repaired it, might still have it on the car, who knows. Not an ideal race for him, and he could definitely be a lot quicker than this.
A couple of loose exits from Dyna there has put Grigius back on his rear spoiler, so be careful he doesn't lose a position there. Martin Kuhn, though, has got it done past Pogardl. Pogardl just not his day, unfortunately. Not gone his way. Patricia Adamczyk also down in 15th. She was probably hoping for more after leading, starting out in pole position. Lost that in the third lap, and then unfortunately just outbraked a little bit really from the beginning. So she's down in 15th. Not been the greatest race overall. What could have been, what should have been perhaps. Nicholas Hubon though, currently running in second place, has got himself the new fastest lap. A 134.6.
I mean, he closed nearly 2 seconds. Keep that in mind. Yep. Like he was 2.6 or 2.7 seconds away, and it's now 0.8. So it's once again the last minutes of the race, and then Hubin. I wonder if that's part of his strategy. If he's really someone that is that good in managing his own pace, that he's securing the car and saving some of the tires midway through the race, and then at the end of it, when he hopes that Whitehead and other drivers around him are not good on tires, he then ups the pace and closes the gaps.
I mean, he's certainly good enough. We know that.
And he did that several times now. This is the third race where we see that.
He's done a lot of endurance racing before in the SRO, so he's definitely he definitely knows his stuff. Someone that's competed in and with and against Jordan Sherritt many times. There's a reason Jordan pointed him out as the man to watch. But yeah, absolutely, it's certainly possible. We'll see whether he can get it done. Down to 0.6 now, so closing in on that. Attila Dyna also under pressure here, as you can see from Grigius as well. So Grigius trying to get this done. Dyna can. I don't think he needs to worry too much if he loses the spot, because obviously for Grigius he has got that 15-second penalty, so he would be able to pass him in terms of points after the race regardless. So he just needs to make sure he doesn't get wiped out in the process.
Yeah, just bring it home by now. As we said so often, it's about being in the top 15 here in this group phase. And most of these drivers are safe. I mean, Nicholas Hubin definitely through, right? Lucas Whitehead through. Stefano Bonsignori, he will be through. Robin Pogardl, he was 5th coming into this race day. I think he's still through. Amato probably through. Darren King's out, I would say. Ivan Fornes is in. And Shirosi will be in. Although,
huge points for Barnett, though. Barnett was down in 16th.
16th, yeah, he had
day,
8 points.
Points, yeah.
Yeah, 8 points before going into this. Attila Dyna, he was 19th. So depending how this race goes, he might also launch himself into the top 15. Same for Leonardo Grigius, who was on 4 points, the same as Attila Dyna.
So the ones under threat, the ones that are not here, which is like Capaccio and Darren King, that were in and around, they're both at 24 points, so the 7th and 8th. So it's a case of who can sort of pass them. Now, for example, someone like Barnett, Grigius was at 15th at the start before this race came in, on 16 points. So if he gets more, which he's currently in 6th with a penalty, if he gets more, then he may be able to start knocking them out. I'm still wondering whether Darren King's going to actually hang on and get through to the finals, not even being here. I mean, he had 24 points, which actually should have been way more. He should have had like close to 50, because he was dominating in both main races and just got unlucky in both main races. But yeah, something like that. The question is though, look at this. This is the gap it's probably as tight as it's going to be now. 0.2. This is where Hubon looks like he wants to make his move.
Yeah, it's about time, kinda. Last 6 minutes, and we know that Hubin so far in these, well, up to 4 races now that we saw today, we are in the 4th race, he wasn't very quick with making moves in terms of, he needed several attempts to pass someone, and Luke Whitehead definitely not the easiest driver to pass for him. Pace-wise, both are absolutely incredible. So,
and that's also the problem, that if he does get past, Whitehead was way more aggressive in the overtake. So if he does get past, then Whitehead may well come back on him. So it might be him just setting up for like a last lap maneuver.
It could be. I mean, that would be a smart choice, right? Trying to not leave much space to Whitehead to actually come back within this race.
At the moment, this is... to be fair, it's maybe they just wanted a bit of showtime. We haven't looked at them for about 40 minutes. They're like, okay, guys, we need to get this close just so we can get a bit of camera time.
Yeah.
A bit of screen time, please.
So, not great being skipped.
Yeah. Not quite getting in there. So, at the moment, apparently Hubon is faster in the second sector. So, the sweeping bend is maybe the fast, heavy braking section is where he's better. You can see he's certainly keeping Luke Whitehead honest. Maybe it's just Whitehead trying to coast it in. Who knows?
We would need to look into all of laps. Can you quickly check?
Last laps are both 1:35.4, 1:35.5, compared to the fastest laps, which are 1:34.6 at the moment. So definitely a second slower than what they can do. So possible that they could just both be coasting and bringing it home, or Whitehead maybe coasting a little more.
It could be. He could just try to play it safe, and we also don't know currently how it looks in terms of fuel. It sounds like out of the dark now talking about fuel, but that happened in previous races.
Yeah.
People running out of fuel because Jordan Sherritt back then was just so quick.
Yeah,
people didn't expect to do so many laps.
Put an extra lap in there and it would catch everyone off guard, yeah. And it caught quite a few off guard. But Martin Kuhn's got it done. He's managed to get past Ivan Fornes there, so that was the battle that it switched away from. So he's 12th position there. Marto still in there. Luke Whitehead is still hanging on to this lead as he tries to get set up here. Hubon just looking to try and make something stick. Only 3 minutes to go, so we're looking at 2, maybe 3 laps. I'm just trying to see where they are on track. No, 2 laps I would say, because they are only near the start of the circuit.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think we're getting another third, but that is not much time for the German. That is Niklas Hubin. Germany against England, kinda. So it was not a soccer match. It's actually racing here in Lamborghini, the real race 2022. And the last race of the group stage before we head into the last chance qualifier and the final. Although the next 2 Sundays we'll obviously have Nala and APEC region doing their second phase of the group stage. So in total we will see another 4 races, 2 per region still in the group stage.
So over the line we go. Penultimate lap underway as Hubon pursues Luke Whitehead, as they have done all the way through not only today's races but the races last week, last July I should say, as well. Almost certainly going to be the battle for the championship, I would say, in the finals, depending on who maybe pulls a surprise in the last chance qualifier, whether we see someone sneaking through there, some sort of big names. But as it is, these 2 definitely the ones to watch, as they have been throughout their careers. Obviously, they're both obviously team drivers that take part in many competitions. Luke Whitehead himself for GTWR, so he's definitely one to watch. The 18-year-old putting on a very confident display today, I think it's safe to say, after his consistent second, third, second, if I remember rightly, last time out. So this time out, he's already picked himself a win, maybe getting a win in the main race here.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, and you never see.
Would he be the back-to-back? No, because he didn't get a win in the main race.
Oh, he did.
It was Bonson.
So the thing for me is we never really see him stressing when Hubin closes the gap, and I think it's very important.
Yeah.
If you want to win a competition like this, it never looks like Whitehead is getting nervous no matter what happens to the gap behind him. Doing a great job, and set previously, how he went through the grid several times now, overtaking people, that was astonishing.
Yeah, especially at the start. He absolutely picked his way through. Very clean as well. That was the main part for me. Very clean in his approach of when and where to overtake. So these two, by and far, dominated, if you like, a 17-second gap. 17-second gap to third place. That is a massive win. But the fact that they are so close, still at this stage, 45 minutes in, it is going to be almost certainly Whitehead unless he makes a howling error in this final lap or picks up a drive-through penalty, which, God forbid, like he did before. I think he's going to make sure, just look how delicately he approached that corner there, making sure he didn't swing wide. I think that's mainly what's happening here. I think they are just, or certainly from Luke's point of view, he's just making sure he brings it home.
Yeah, everything else wouldn't make sense, and he will bring a ton of points from this weekend. Absolutely deserved. Great showcase and constant performance that he put on. A bit sad for Niklas Huben not getting a single win. Might have had a chance at the previous race, which then had to be cancelled due to red flag. So a bit sad for him never getting the shot at getting those points. But there's Luke Whitehead, just the last few corners before he gets a main race win at the track of Misano. Here at the end of EMEA group phase. Coming around the corner onto start-finish stretch in front of the crowd. It's probably cheering for him, and Luke Whitehead sees the checkered flag. Niklas Huben right behind, 0.4 of a second. Good race for both of them. Barnett with a 50-second penalty and Bonsignore right behind, both with the same penalty. Probably sees Attila Diner moving up to podium spot, which then means he should also move into the top 15. And with that, qualify for the final of Lamborghini the race.
That could be huge, yeah. For Attila Diner there to possibly steal third place due to the penalties in front of him, that could be enormous for him. And congrats if that's the case. Obviously benefiting from everybody else's mistakes around him, but also putting on a great drive as well. He was under pressure from Grigis for probably the last 10-15 minutes of that race as well. So if that's secured him third place, we'll find out once everybody goes over the line. It will soon shake itself out and we'll figure exactly where they will finish. Obviously commiserations for the likes of Pagardl, who unfortunately has been the punt master today, has been the target of everyone's ire, I think it's safe to say, or certainly been focused by no fault of his own, unfortunately. But it's the way it shakes out sometimes. But there we go, confirmation of Attila Diner on third place, so congrats to him rounding out the podium.
Yeah, it's a good job and big points. Like I said, he was like 19th previously. So with that, he should make it into the top 15. More than keen to see the standings and figure out if we might have overlooked someone, right?
Compo fourth. Nico Compo into fourth, by the way. Amato fifth. Adamu
That's
sixth.
A very good result for him,
Barnett seventh and Bonsignore down to eighth. Yeah. So those penalties, they add up, man. They definitely put you down there.
They definitely do. And it was once again a race with, I have to say, strategy didn't seem to be that important here compared to the Hungaroring in terms of undercut, overcut, stuff like that. And in terms of driving, though, it was a bit more messy early on in the race. Drivers have been more aggressive, more punting, definitely, more contact here and there. Full contact sport in the Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 this time around. But in general, we saw the same drivers just showcasing that no matter the track, no matter the conditions, we had rain in the Hungaroring, we had dry laps here at Misano, they just deliver and they're on point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some Hubon and Whitehead specifically were magnificent. There's no doubt about it. They've delivered today. Obviously, Bonsignore, I feel sorry for him a little bit in that final race there, but things happen these days. He put on a great race in Hungaroring. I do still question whether he would have finished out winner in Hungaroring. Maybe he'd have got caught. Who knows? There was 8 minutes of racing to go. Probably not, I would say. I don't think Hubon, he maybe caught him, but then again, watching the last 10 minutes here, who knows? He obviously clearly saves a bit for the last 10 minutes to sort of put the pressure on. So who knew? He was still at a 3-second gap, I think, if I remember rightly, when the red flag came in. So, but either way, magnificent driving, clearly seeing some serious contenders for the finals so far.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Not that I didn't like Jordan Sherrod. He's an absolutely incredible driver, but due to him kind of last season, the EMEA region, that was done and dusted. We could have probably given Jordan Sherrod the win on the first group stage race and then be like, you know what? Let's try to spare everyone what's happening, because he was just very dominant. And this time around, the EMEA region looks a bit more balanced. This could be... Oh, yeah, this is Pagardl. And... let's see if we can get the race start. Yeah, so there was the chance for Pagardl to basically lead the race early on here. Just waiting to get the right replay moment. There we go. So there's Pagardl. Oh, that was already very close there. That he wasn't touched at the rear by Amato. Could have been his end already. Luckily, nothing happened there. But things got crazier from there on. That was kind of the problem. I think this is... Oh, Adamcha gets flashed.
Oh, and so she went defensive and outbraked herself. Yes, she went defensive from... I think it was Adamu, right? That was.
But why was Adamu... Or it could have been Amato as well with the green car. Why was he flashing?
I have no idea.
Like the aggressive flashing. I mean, it shouldn't lead to something like this, but...
It certainly can put you off, yeah. I mean, she went defensive. She could have crossed to go defensive and then obviously missed the braking spot while she was doing it. Maybe looking in the mirror, oh crap, I've missed my brake point. Stuff like that. I mean, it can definitely put you out of position, right?
Yeah, it did. And it was an eventful race. And like I said, a bit sad for Robin Pagardl, definitely. He deserved more than the points he's bringing home today. But I still think he will make it through. And by the way, since we discussed it during the race, Matthias Kuhn is not German. He's actually he's from Belgium. Because I don't know how Belgian people... Is it Belgian? Yeah, Belgian. That's correct, right? Not Belgish.
I mean, Patricia just said apologies to Pagardl. I mean, I feel sorry for him all the way through, but I hope he can still pull it together maybe and get into those finals. Who knows?
I mean, Pagardl should be used by now. So harsh as it sounds, that was a day to forget for him. And if he managed to get into the final, that's it. You wouldn't want more than that, right? So don't worry about that. Push it to the side. Keep on going.
I remember we obviously had the Nala Laguna Seca race the other week. We were talking about how somebody got punted, and I spoke to him after, and he said, "Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to get through to the finals anyway." I was like, "All right, confidence. I like it."
We will just say and wait for race control to get back to us with the updated stats and like the standings that we're waiting for, obviously. And then we might get a winner's interview of the day. First, I have to know who's actually winning.
I assume it's Luke Whitehead, maybe.
It could be Luke or Nicholas Hubin, because I think overall Nicholas always came second.
Maybe more consistent, yeah. Ooh, good one. Yeah, because Whitehead only got 13th in the main race, and obviously more points come into the main race. So yeah, you're right.
It could be, but keep in mind,
second. Is he second in every race?
Yeah, but main race. So first main race in Hungaroring, we got 75% of the points.
Yeah,
but Hubin was up front while Luke was all the way in the back. Didn't he get the drive-through penalty?
Yeah, he was 13th, yeah.
So, I could see Nicholas Hubin.
I think so. He's got second in all 4 races as far as I'm aware. So, very consistent. Actually, very similar to what Luke Whitehead did in the previous 2 races.
But I just heard that we will actually look into the questions from you guys out there that you were asking us on social media before race day, and we'll just go through them since we have a bit of time waiting for the standings.
Oh, okay.
Why not do that? George is asking, what is your favorite Lamborghini? Lee, what is it?
So for me, this is like the era you grow up in, right? So for me, it's the Lamborghini Countach. That was the sort of the car, the poster picture that everybody sort of had. Whereas for you, I bet it's like the Diablo, something like that, because that's your era, right?
Yeah, it's like Diablo SV, because let's be real here. At that point, I think it was the cover car on the first Need for Speed, and it was the cover car on the second and third Need for Speed as well. Hot Pursuit, High Stakes. I think they all had the Lamborghini Diablo SV in yellow on the cover.
See,
I
to
have
me,
the yellow
it's
scale
the
model.
the white Countach. It was for me. That was like the picture, the iconic picture, the white one.
If I could get a Diablo SV, that would probably be it. Like driving it one day, I would love that. Then on the modern era, quite hard because I like nearly all of them, but I see a ton of Huracán see at the Nürburgring, obviously. Absolutely love them, but the Aventador to me, I think it's a bit longer. At least it looks like that. I never see them side by side here. So I just think that the Aventador would be another one of my favorites next to the Huracán.
All right, well, we got any more?
Do we get one more? We do actually. If you had all the money in the world,
Okay.
which cars would you buy? David throwing the curveball.
I mean, there's so many options, right? I guess you
Do
probably
I-
look. You
it
probably
says
want like
cars,
a
not
classic.
car, right?
Yeah, you want like a classic in there, which for me would probably be like the classic Bond car or something like that. And then you want obviously like a modern racy car or something like that, which nowadays. I couldn't even tell you what's the best. There's that many sort of hybrids that are starting to come through, right? That it would be hard to pick. But that's, I mean, if we're talking cars for Rene, then you better get a big garage.
Yes,
he's already got about 5 cars anyway.
I would go for the Diablo SV, definitely, to have it. Can't drive that much, obviously. So I would also go on the classics for a Honda NSX Type R. Not many in the world either.
Yeah, not many left
hard to
these
get.
days.
And then I would probably get, I think the Aventador Roadster for the weekend.
For the
that
weekend,
one,
yeah,
for the weekend.
yeah. Just pop out in that.
And a Super
Do the
Trofeo
shopping.
for the track.
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
I need a tourist drive car that I can just put on the Nürburgring every single day, kind of.
And blow everyone away, yeah.
So the Huracán would be nice. So Lamborghini's probably like, this guy's way too expensive to give me a car.
What is the best car? I mean, like, what? How do you quantify best?
I
think
forgot
that's
one.
really the
I forgot
hardest
one.
Right?
I need another classic car because I really want a classic Audi Sport Quattro.
Oh right, yeah, the 80s type one.
Yes.
The one of the 80s, yeah.
The edgy one.
Yeah.
Forgot that. Yeah. I mean, I could do a deal here, eh?
You know the one I always remember from then is the Metro, the one that actually got banned in the end. from
MG
rallycross
Metro, the
racing.
rally car.
Yeah, because it got banned in the end because it had like too much computery stuff in it, didn't it? I think at the time, but that was back in. Was that early 90s or was that late 80s? Right.
I have to say, back there in rally, they had a lot of weird cheating going on.
Oh, yeah,
there was
yeah.
Toyota, right, with a cool way of getting more air in.
Testing the rules.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to the question. The question was what is your best car? I mean, it's hard to like. We're talking race car.
It depends on what you do with it,
luxury
yes.
car. Are we talking like
But I think it's enough for us trying to figure out what's the best car because we really can't tell. Depends on what you have to do. But we should actually have our guest, and with that winner who's still kind of fixes his hair.
It's just
I can
fixing
see
his
that
hair.
on the
Yeah, he's
camera.
gotta get
You
his
can't
hair.
see
We
that
can
yet.
see him.
You're looking good. Don't worry.
Look, everybody that does sim racing has that race head on them, so you got to figure out. It's like I've just had this on me. How do I make a headset look good? How you doing, Luke?
Do you hear him? I don't hear him yet.
I don't hear him. Damn it! We'll get through something. Give me a minute.
No, don't hear him. I can see him, so he can wave, and he can wave back at me. But
He can hear us. And wave.
wait, welcome to technology, 2022. It is kind of complicated by now. I mean, even on this PC, even with having my streaming PC off, I probably have like 8 inputs.
Oh,
So-
there's another microphone coming out. It's got a. Is that a Yeti? Is it? What is that?
He's getting it done now. Oh, he has lights.
Rhoda?
Look at that. No, it's not a Rhoda. Rhoda's not with lights.
No, that's fancy.
Could be the MSI one, actually. I think they did one with RGB lighting.
It's interesting the way it
is
hooks
it?
onto the chair. It's not really. Not really
It's a new way of doing it.
I tried, yeah. I was just looking at my chair to see if I could actually do that myself.
what headset hair in the chat. I like it. I mean, he looks fresh. That's good.
Hey, he's just had some pretty hard racing with Hubon pushing him the whole way, right?
Yeah. True that. Let's hope we can get the sound fixed so we can hear our daily winner. So far, we didn't have him yet.
He's just like we can see him working hard trying to fix the whatever it is, technical problems. But come on, Rennie, best car.
Really can't tell. I mean, best car for what?
Best car. Okay. So let's say let's take what you do. Let's take a track car. Best track car. Well, not track car. Because that's not technically true, because Nordschleife is not a... Well, it is a track, but obviously when you're on it, it's technically a public road, right? But, like, best car you would have on the Nordschleife. There we go.
I just got around this. He might hear us now.
We don't hear him.
Oh, I hear him.
There he is.
Oh, yes!
You're in now.
I fixed it. I fixed the thing. Sorry for the audio.
Celebrating more than when he won the race.
I haven't had a chance to set this up. It's a bit scuffed, so I apologise for that. And it's kind of like protruding my vision.
Oh, you want to tell me...
Hopefully it works. Okay.
You want to tell me you surprisingly won? Not by
Yes. It was a surprise. I mean, race 2 was shocking. I'll be honest. Hungaroring in the wet, I got a drive-through, so I wasn't expecting it. So I'm pleasantly surprised with that one. But yeah, it's annoying because every single race I've had in this, me and Nicholas have almost been joint at the hip. We've been really similar in every single race. So it's annoying, but also fun. It's also fun because I mean, me and him are teammates, so it works out quite well. We get on really well, and obviously the racing's always respectful. So that's always good fun. But yeah, the show was insane today, absolutely insane.
How did you feel it was with the pit stop? Obviously, Nicholas went for the early pit stop, and then you came out right in front of him. It was literally on your tailpipe the second you came out. How was the pressure as soon as you came out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my tyres were up to temperature when he came out the pits, which helped for me a bit. So obviously, he came out right behind me, and I pulled a bit, and then he obviously had a couple of lap fresher tyres, obviously coming out the pits later than I did, and then he just caught up, and yeah, it was pretty sketchy. I mean, I was worried that he'd get past, and I mean, both races were extremely intense. I had him right up my right behind me. Obviously, the first race didn't really work out. Obviously, got a drive through from leading. Well, it would have been second because I think Bonsignori was ahead. But then obviously race 2, luckily, kept out of trouble. Both of us, I think, on 3 warnings, so a little closer to the edge than we'd maybe like. But yeah, it was a really fun experience, all things round. And definitely, well, I had more pace than I did last time, so I'm quite happy with that.
Definitely showed consistency is key here, and it seems like you never got shooken by whatever happened, even if Nicholas closed the gap. How do you see the final coming along? It's like, obviously, Nicholas will be there. We're absolutely sure about that. A few other drivers. Do you see yourself as a favorite already for the grand final?
I'd never say favourite because I mean, there's so many people that are really quick racing. Obviously, you've got Stefano Bonsignori, who's very aggressive, but very fast at the time as well. You've got Nicholas. I think you've got potentially Dowking, potentially Capoccia. I'm not sure whether they got through or not, but they weren't unfortunately able to do today's race. You've also got Robin Pagado, who got really unlucky. I mean, he had the really good pace in the second one. In Misano, he was probably on pace with myself and Nicholas, if not very close. And he obviously got spun out, which was really unfortunate. I think it would have been a very interesting race to see how he would have fared. And obviously, as I say, there's a lot of other guys, and I think with how close this grid can be, I wouldn't count anyone out. I really wouldn't. And obviously, I'm very excited for the final round. It's Spa, which is not a track that I'm massively comfortable with, but again, I can learn and improve, and I'm excited for it nonetheless. I think it's going to be a corker.
Yeah, let's hope Spa's dry this time and not
yes.
wet. Certainly,
yes.
if Darren King has got through, he's certainly going to be thinking the same, because obviously he was the victim of the mighty puddle at the Kemmel that launched him into the barrier. But yeah, I mean, Let's talk about the starts of the races, because obviously me and Rene talked about it in the main races. You guys, obviously you and Nicholas, both did very well in the sprints, so you were starting in 7th and 8th on both races. But you were so clean and aggressive getting through the traffic, whereas for Nicholas it took him a lot longer to get through. Is that something you've maybe worked on in the past? Obviously your racecraft seems to be right up there in terms of getting past cars.
Oh, I'm just a better driver, to be honest. No, but seriously, it's something that I was always. I mean, I did a lot of real life racing, so I was always very good at spotting sort of where everyone was. I'd say my awareness is pretty decent, and obviously, I also got quite fortunate. I mean, Hungaroring was a prime example. I mean, me and Nicholas were side by side, and I managed to find a gap, and he sort of had to back off. Otherwise, we both would have collided, and I'm thankful for that and apologetic for that, because it was a bit aggressive on my side. But I think just at Misano, especially, I was quite lucky that I picked sort of the right gaps. I mean, as I say, Nicholas kind of got bodied out the way a couple of times, whereas I luckily was managed to avoid those incidents. So I think most of it is luck of the draw. I mean, I think I've seen him get through grids incredibly quickly as well. So there's no doubt that he's exceptionally good with that side of things as well. But as I said, I like to think I'm decent at sort of spotting where the gaps are and avoiding everything that's going on. But again, especially in this series where everyone's very aggressive and very because again the races aren't that long, so everyone's quite desperate to make up position, keep position, and so it is quite a lot about luck and just avoiding incidents and just as I said, being cautious sometimes and being aggressive other times, for sure.
Yeah, then look, there's not much more to add from our side other than congrats obviously to the good performance that you showed today with grabbing the win of the weekend, and welcome to the next phase of Lamborghini The Real Race.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it. Take care, guys.
Yeah, take care, Luke. Bye bye. Oh yeah, he actually doesn't want to be the favourite, or doesn't want to say he's the favourite, but I would say on my list at least, he's very high up for the EMEA region, especially with I said how calm he stays within the race and how good he manages pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously he's cautious because Nicholas Huber did win at Spa. So, I mean, it was in the wet and he was far ahead of everyone else in the wet. Now, obviously, I don't know what the weather's going to be like on the server for that day, but and Luke White had 62 points. This is just for the day, by the way. This is not the overall standings. This is the day's standings. So 62 points, and Hubon 56. Obviously, Bonsignori 43 ended up finishing 4th in the air. Nico Campo, great result from him, 24. Grigis 21. Gabba Sarosi, we were talking about how he was improved since last year. 21 points for him. Attila Diner 20 points in there. Patricia, obviously not the greatest final race that she wished for, but 19 for her because of what she did in the earlier races. Magic Barnett, look at that. He didn't take part in the first race, yet he got 19 points because a great performance here. And even Fornes, I feel a little sorry for him. He did get a couple of penalties in there, which cost him quite a few points overall. Interesting to talk, obviously, Luke just mentioned the fact that him and Nicholas were on the edge of those driver limits. Both of them could have had some penalties come through, which could have cost them quite a few points today.
Yeah, it is always crucial to manage your track cuts as well, right? And all of these drivers did that fairly well, unless Luke got that one drive through that wasn't ideal for him. Would have been even more points, but as you say, he won the day, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Doesn't. Should he try to get rid of that habit and then get it in the final? Yes, because in the final there's no, it was enough in the end to make it through. No, you have to be on point and be the points leader to actually become champion.
Yeah, and I wonder, I'm still wondering whether the points are fully updated, but I can see that Darren King and Capaccio actually have got through, I think, by hook or by crook. They couldn't be here today, but I think still because of their performances in the races in July, I think they may still get through. If not, then obviously they can still get through possibly on the last chance qualifier. But as Luke pointed out, they were definitely contenders within the first two races. They were strong contenders. So it is by no means a done deal.
I know it isn't, and there's no done deal yet with Lamborghini The Real Race because there are more races coming your way in the group phase and then also last chance qualifier, grand final, all of that to ensure that you actually know when everything is on. Let's have a quick look at the schedule, and you're currently at group stage EMEA #2 Hungaroring and Misano. That's what you saw today. Then next week we got APAC region that will visit Nürburgring and Zolder. So very much Central Europe, and then Zandvoort and Silverstone for Nala the week after. Then the last chance qualifier at the end of this month. And then in October we will see the big finals per region, all of them on one day. So that will be plenty of racing action for you to witness. Great races throughout all 3 regions is what I expect there. And yeah, better mark that in your calendars right now and ensure that you're around for the next stage of Lamborghini the Real Race.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. Of course, the big finals, what everybody wants to watch, is going to be on the 16th of October. That's definitely the one to mark in your diaries.
We will actually get some highlights of the race as well. But not sure if they now told me I should also stop the show and then highlights. Oh, they say yes. I was about to make this a longer sentence. Never mind then.
They're just telling you to shut up. That's what they're doing. They're just telling you to shut up, Rene. Go
Very
on.
unfriendly, right? No, it's all right. It is the end of the EMEA region. We're coming back next week, Sunday, with another group stage. Be ready for that. Thanks, Lee, for joining us once again here in the show. My name is Rene, and I see you guys all around next week. Bye-bye.